Hey, welcome everybody to Hash Church, episode 15 of 2.0. Should be a fun little episode today. Got a whole bunch of new people that I have never had on before, so that should be fun. And just check my headphones here, make sure everything is on the up and up, and put those invitations out. Yes. Let's see what we got here. Here we go. Boom. Send these invitations out, make sure we're all good. Doing a music episode today. Been wanting to do one for a while. Kind of spaced in regards to a couple of friends that I wanted to invite in that I waited last minute and may not be able to make it now, but we'll see what goes on. Let's see what we got here. See if we can't get Mr. Skunkman Sam in the room. There we go. So we'll see. These are all new people that a lot have never been in here, so we may have some technical difficulties. We will see how easy it is for them to get in on the platform. I see you guys got a huge, good group in the chat room right now. That's always good. 205 people watching live, and I myself have. Oh, there's Skunkman Sam. How you doing, Sam?
Do you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okie dokie.
So
tell me, I'm going to say something else, but first I'm going to turn my mic off because I think you hear me both times. Do you hear me?
I can totally hear you.
Okay. Do you hear me 1, 2, 3?
I hear you 1, 2, 3, Dr. Seuss.
Shit. Well, I turned my mic off, so
well,
now I understand.
Don't worry about it. That's Alex that just came into the room. What's going on, Alex?
Hey, now can you hear me, Bubble?
Dude, with the professional microphone.
He's obviously going to sing us music tonight.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
That's awesome. Alex Rogers in the house. It's awesome, bro.
I just had my engineer hook up my home studio, and now I don't even know how to use my computer without this microphone. So it's necessary irony.
It's perfect. Do you recognize Alex Skunkman Sam?
Let me see your face again.
There he is.
Is he from SC Labs?
No, you're thinking Alec. This is Alex, and you would have recognized him, if at all, from the Melkveg back in the day. But he kind of had like dreadlocks and stuff and looked a little bit different.
I like it much better like this.
He used to rock the door for us. Sam has been to countless shows at the Melkveg.
I'm sure I'd recognize Sam. I definitely recognize that character.
Yeah, no, you would recognize Skunkman Sam for certain. Oh yeah, so good to have you in here, dude. I guess you've been rocking hard with the International Cannabis Business Conference. That's been fucking successful for you, hey?
Yeah, even a blind hog finds the ear of corn. Bubble, you know what I'm saying?
I don't, but I like it. It's early and my brain's not working, but maybe if I smoke some of this resin.
Oh, yeah, I got to roll one up, too. Yeah, I want to smoke some of that resin, too, man. You teleport that my way?
Alex, are you in America or in Amsterdam?
Yeah, I live in Ashland, Oregon.
Okay.
Little hippie town.
Well, we won't hold that against you.
Where are you, Sam?
I'm in Amsterdam for the last 35 years.
Oh, ken jij op Nederlands praten?
I do not speak Dutch.
Well, I won't hold it against you, Sam.
Always that if it was important enough, they'd say it in English.
Oh my God, you remind me, Sam, of Mark Rose, my manufacturer in Nepal. He's lived in Nepal for a very long time. He has a Nepali wife and Nepali children.
I don't speak a word of Nepalese.
He does not speak a word of Nepalese. He refuses to. He's like, I'm not learning Nepalese. Like I'll teach them all English.
I lived in India off and on for a decade. Lived in the country for several years. And I could at least speak Hindi good enough to go shopping or direct a taxi driver or buy or sell or, you know.
Well, the one thing about Amsterdam is I lived there for a couple of years, and you don't have to speak Dutch, you know, because it is an English-speaking
absolutely,
city. So.
That's true. Especially me, because I was in the scientific world with doctors, lawyers, and all this kind of crap.
Yeah, you would have really had to really speak Dutch then.
No, I bet you they
Also,
were all speaking English.
Secretary that spoke English and Dutch.
Well, that's all you need right there. Yeah, Sam's been growing cannabis in Holland for a long time, Alex. He's the breeder of skunk #1.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. Yep. Won the first cannabis cup with his seed company, Sacred Heart Seeds, back in like was it 89 or 90?
88.
88. That he goes back way further than me, that's for sure. My first cup was 95.
Yeah, my first cup was 98. So that's I only heard about those days.
There was only 3 people participating. It was the seed bank with Neville and SSSC, a seed company from Rotterdam, and me. And I won the first one.
Hey, Sam, have you noticed that the SSSC is back? I believe one of the sons is running it.
I met them at the, where was it? Barcelona Spanabiz. When we were there the last time, I ran into them. And who's doing it is actually their kids.
That's what I thought. So it's legit. You can give us the legitimization of that new organization?
Well, I don't know what they're doing, if it's legit or not. I don't know if they still have anything that they had before. I don't know what they're selling. But I know that I met one of the original SSSC guys. He was there also with his son, because he wanted to introduce me to his son. And he had put out in Dutch an organic vegetable gardening book. And that was a cool book.
Well, for those that don't know who we're talking about the Super Sativa Seed Club. And that's going back into the 80s. And I'm pretty sure Sam had a good relationship with the original guys.
Oh, absolutely, I did. I'm the
Right.
one who, I gave them everything. Well, not everything, but I gave them a lot of what they were producing.
All right. Well, that's cool. I wanted to welcome Collin into the room, my good brother. Welcome, dude.
What's up, everyone? Pleasure to be on. Thanks for having me, Marcus.
Dude,
Pleasure to be on with everybody.
If we were going to talk about music and cannabis today, I thought, fuck, I should invite Collin. I mean, Alex really was like, dude, I'll get DJ Muggs and we'll get Mojo Morgan. And I started thinking like, fuck, I know a couple musicians. So I put the word out to Stu Block, who's the lead singer for Iced Maiden. I thought it would be nice to have a metal genre representing, although he's unable really. He might make it for a half an hour today. I also put the invitation out to Collin. And I put out the invitation out to Rakaa from the Dilated Peoples. He's going to make a little appearance with us earlier today.
You also invited me, Marcus, and I told you that I would bring my kazoo, but I couldn't find it. The only thing I found was a rusty old Jew's harp that I bought in Afghanistan about 45 years ago.
Well, maybe you could play the spoons.
I don't know how to play spoons. But
Well, I played. You know how I played spoons? I hammered them out with a hammer, and I used them as hot knives because they just have a wider surface area. This was back in the late '80s, but true story. True story.
So, Marcus, it's a really interesting topic that you and Sam are talking on. I had mentioned, hey, these guys I'd seen their presence come back online all of a sudden, and I had asked you directly, hey, what do you know about this? And it sounds extremely interesting, especially since there's such a renaissance of this Super Sativa Club, because it brings such a mythology to everything that I think entices everyone. So it's really interesting to hear Sam's perspective.
To be honest, their real specialty, I mean, they did produce seeds because I think they could make more money than growing weed.
Sure.
But to be honest, what was really special about these guys back in the day when they started is they were experts at light and everything else indoor growing. They knew how to wire houses so that they did not burn down.
Yeah, that's pretty important, especially back in the day when they were kind of looking for anything to paint a dirty picture about us, you know? Any possible dirty picture they could write about us. So
where did the sativa go, man? I mean, I remember going into the Katsu, and it was like, it smelled total haze. It's like now it seems like the only fake haze you can get now is Blue Dream. I know Blue Dream has haze in it, but where's the real, like, maybe you get that shit up in Canada. I was up in Canada the other day. I got some Moroccan hash. It's like we got like everything in America, but we don't got Moroccan hash. You got maybe on the East Coast you could find that. But the same thing with sativa. It's like, where did the sativa go? That was the illest. That Neville's haze and the super silver. It's like, and then if someone cries it out, or some lemon haze, it's not really. It's not that same like that distinct, like, really exotic,
what
deep
the basic
smell.
The basic problem is that haze can take up to 24 weeks to flower.
But you think
100%.
some mug, now that the price of herb in the West Coast is going hella down, you think some mug will get his boutique on and just go for it and just and then sell his shit for two G's a pound still or whatever. You know what I mean?
I'm really surprised you haven't done it. It's such a good idea.
I'm surprised too.
No, you know what? It's so true though. It's the how much can I get and how fast can I get it mentality that really drove that haze just right out of the marketplace. I've got some extremely terpenoline rich. I've got some Where's My Bike going on here right now. That's got the amnesia haze in it. It's got that kind of funk that you're talking about, that terpenoline rich sort of exotic flavor profile. It only takes like 10 to 12 weeks, so it's not quite that. The last time I was in Barcelona with Soma, he had something that was 26 weeks of flowering.
Wow. I have some Golden Road here from Bodie that our grower that's one of our leads in Massachusetts grew, and it's fantastic. It's really delicious. But it's, it definitely brings you back to those super that super sativa club vibe, where it's, it really brings you back.
Listen, one of my first, the true cultivars I fell in love with was Hayes. Obviously, my son's middle name is Hayes. I have an affinity for it. But in Manitoba, my old mentor, Ron Hickey, used to have this, they had the original Hayes, and it was so dank and so like almost cat pissy and terpenoline rich and frankincense-y. And it took like 16 to 18 weeks to flower. And a lot of people just really, when you're breaking the law and you're facing jail, it's this how much can I get and how fast can I get mentality that, people thought we were nuts growing something that took 16 to 18 weeks to flower. Yet, when it was burning, you could hone in on someone in a busy club with that haze. You'd literally I just had people attach themselves to me like, is that the haze you're smoking?
Yeah. It was as distinctive as Kush in terms of the smell, just different.
No doubt. On the East Coast, we had the Washington Heights haze, which is commonly on the street called as the Piff.
The Piff.
And that, that was historically the one. If you were grabbing the Piff, you were the one in the room everybody wanted to be close to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, remember the Katsu, though? It was a whole coffee shop in Amsterdam. I don't know if the Katsu's still around.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Skunkman Sam and I went there in March when I was in Holland for the international.
Could you still get those raw, deep, old school hazes?
Dude, trust me. We went right past the counter. We went right to the back room. We linked up with the owner, and he pulled his personal stash out of his pocket and was hitting us with bong rips of some quite lovely resin. But was it for sale at the Katsu? No, it was not.
Well, did they still have the haze menu at the Katsu?
They had some haze menus. We weren't interested in flower. We went right for concentrates. And hey, Sam, do you remember what the owner of the Katsu pulled out of his pipe that we smoked in March? Was that a haze? Was that something exotic? I can barely remember. It was something. Yeah, you were with me.
No, that was haze. He pulled it out because it was special, and he knew who I was.
Yeah, he certainly did. He was actually in awe of Sam. He was like, it's funny that how long has the Katsu been there? First of all,
it's been there as long as I can remember. A really long, maybe 30 years or at least 25.
So you waited 25 years to go into the Katsu and meet the owner?
No, I have been there a couple of times, but I don't go to coffee shops. I don't go to coffee shops to buy weed.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm kind of in the same boat, but at the same time, what a funny experience. Bubbleman and Skunkman Sam walking into the Katsu. Hey, what's going on? Is the owner here? Does he have anything special in his pocket?
Well, actually, we didn't ask the owner. We asked somebody who was working there.
Correct.
And I said, why don't you get the owner? And he says, no, he doesn't want to be bothered. I said, well, why don't you just ask him anyway? And then he came out and was gushing.
Yeah, he really was stoked on Skunkman Sam. Hey, welcome Mojo, who just popped into the room, as well as
Yes,
Dr. Mark. Welcome.
Yes, sir.
Yo, big
Dude.
up, Mojo.
Jedi and I.
Every time, brother.
Dude, how about Gargamel back on the island? Buju, free him up. Buju's free. You guys
Yeah,
must
man,
be.
we give thanks.
Yeah, of course we do. That was a long time, him off the island. Holy smokes. For those of you unfamiliar, Buju Banton was released from prison and is back in Jamaica. And man, if the Jamaican people did not look so stoked to have him back.
What was he in prison for?
He was actually in prison, not for anything good. It was for the cocaine. And I don't know the story if he was entrapped or
Get caught with cocaine, maybe deserves to go to jail.
Hell no.
Well-
Nobody needs all drugs should be legalized. Stop fronting.
yeah, for
Well,
real.
I agree with you, but using cocaine, that's a serious sign of stupidity.
Don't be drug prejudiced. I ain't used cocaine for 25 years, but
And it
motherfucker
was
want to do what you
stupid.
want to do on the weekend or do whatever. I don't give a fuck if you shoot heroin, man. I don't give a fuck. It's such a weird thing. All us potheads are so drug prejudiced. I'm like, whatever. I'm so over it.
I'll send all my junkie and cokehead friends over to your house.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We have the options, you know. So I got the option. You got the option. Do whatever you want. I got the option not to hang out with you too. So
Why do you have crackhead, cokehead friends? Because
Yeah,
I don't have any
exactly,
crackhead,
man.
cokehead
Break
friends.
that shit down, Mojo.
For real.
I don't have any crackhead, cokehead friends, and neither is my brother that you're speaking about that deserves to be in jail.
Same.
Whatever the situation is, it was, and to be like, oh, you deserve to be in jail without knowing the full situation is kind of presumptuous, you know what I mean? But still, my question is, why do you got crackhead, cokehead friends?
I
You
don't
guys-
really have any crackhead or cokeheads or junkie friends at all. In fact, if I know somebody is using coke, even occasionally recreationally, I just cut them off. I won't ever see them again.
All right.
Oh, well, that's
All right,
some
all
strong
right.
opinions. I'm more of the feeling like I saw the whole Buju thing play out. I saw the footage and stuff. Yet I still felt deep down, and I don't know Buju at all. I've never met him. I have friends that are friends with him, but I've appreciated his music a lot over the years. And I just felt like I don't know why, maybe it's the conspiracy person in me, but I just always feel like, you know, society wants to take down the black man who gains power and who gains a voice for himself. And I just felt like there was some like shenanigans going on. Like maybe Buju was entrapped. Maybe there was some sketchiness going on. I'm glad that he's out personally. And I will absolutely be at the first concert that I can be at that he's playing at. I hope it's in Jamaica personally.
It's gonna be a beautiful, beautiful thing when he hits the stage again. So, you know, all those tuning in, just stay positive, stay tuned, and let love live. So what's going on in this forum here? What's kicking?
This forum's pretty chill. You know, what we do is we get together almost every Sunday. It was kind of a spur of the moment thing when I was able to YouTube stream live. And I've got a lot of sort of friends in the industry, and I started inviting them in, and we just started having dialogue, true dialogue, you know, like just like what just happened, maybe a little bit of opinions that clash, maybe some information and some knowledge. We like to go deep down the rabbit hole. Cannabis is almost always our topic of you know, the source topic here, whether it is into the chemistry of cannabis or the growing and the breeding, the extraction and the processing. And today was kind of, you know, after talking to Alex, I thought it was kind of a neat idea to have, you know, have some musicians come in that have had an influence from cannabis over the years of their career, and just discuss, you know, cannabis and music.
You want to tell everyone who Mojo is?
You go ahead, man. You go ahead. Give an introduction.
I mean, Morgan heritage. You know, legends. The Morgan family. You know, they're really the biggest reggae band in the world, in that these cats go play stadiums in Africa with like 30,000 cats. I mean, they're revered all over the world, and I'm just super honored that you're here, Mojo. And I'd actually like to hear what you guys are up to right now. What going on with Morgan Heritage, Frederick?
Well, we just released the Africa Jamaica single. Featuring Diamond Platinums from Tanzania. He's, you know, a multi-award winner, MTV Europe Awards and all these things. And, you know, like probably the biggest artist coming out of East Africa. And also featuring Stonebwoy from Ghana. Arguably the biggest artist coming out of Ghana right now.
Oh, dope.
And it was... it's funny, but you know, we were successful. We gained success in the early 2000s, and there was no social media at that time. You know what I mean? You had Messenger. It was a messenger.
Yeah, know all about it, brother.
Yeah. So Africa Jamaica for us was probably our first viral hit, like a lot of numbers that we released on our own. I mean, we experienced it with Diamond Platinums last year with a song called Hallelujah that did 1 million views in 12 hours. It's a different world. It's a different world today how they consume music.
And how would, you know, you want to just talk about a little bit about, like, just, I mean, obviously you guys are, your father's from Jamaica, you guys are from Jamaica and New York, right? So you have an interesting take on, like, the weed culture that you came from Yard, and then you have the weed culture from New York. And you want to just tell us how that affected you, and maybe any like differences or similarities between the two?
I mean, being born in Brooklyn, New York, weed is not so, herbals wasn't something where, you know, was the way it is now. We're talking about people going to jail, what they call the trap in the South. We used to call gates in New York, in Brooklyn. You got the gates, go pick up a nickel bag, a dime bag, and these things. So, to see the growth, you know, even now in the state of New York, that people can walk into a pharmacy and get herb legally, it's, you know, a full 180 degrees, like, about face, you know. The whole world is different right now in regards to how people view herb. It's not something that, you know, is cliche or only niche, only applied to a certain image. Because you have the Wall Street guys, you have the college students, you have the preppers, the yuppies, the Latinos, the African Americans, the island people, the Africans.
And so how would you say, so how's that different in Jamaica in terms? So now we see it's mad accepted. I mean, I live on the West Coast. You go to an office party on the West Coast, people are smoking weed with their like cohorts. It ain't no thing. But in Jamaica, you know, you guys have this kind of this English Commonwealth history, and you know, it's like in Amsterdam. You know, when I lived there 20 years ago, and weed was, you know, quasi legal, and all my friends were smoking, and all this, you smoke in the coffee shop, some bars you could even smoke in, but really weed was still stigmatized by the mainstream Dutch culture, and you couldn't smoke at an office party in Holland 20 years ago. You know, I got kicked off a train smoking some weed once in Holland, and you know what I mean? And I'd smoked all over in trains in Europe. I got kicked off, and the Dutch were mad tripping. So I'm wondering if there's any of that like English Commonwealth overflow, this kind of proper thing in Jamaica, where, you know, you have the Rasta on one side, and then you have your political class and business class on the other. What going on in JA right now? I'm curious.
Well, I mean, in Jamaica, even when we moved to Jamaica in the late 90s, the vibe there was, you know, very tolerate. It was tolerated, you know, on low levels. The only body that was being persecuted for weed in the 90s was, you know, people that was being obvious with it, you know, where the police can see them, or they get caught with it in their car. But for the most part, you can smoke weed freely in Jamaica for years now. Even before now, you know, 20 years later, it's legal. And, you know, there are shops where people can walk in and purchase marijuana recreationally. But the funny thing about it is, just like Brooklyn, it was deemed to be a niche drug, you know, where cocaine was something done by uptown people. Just like in America, it's a more affluent drug. It was never a thing in the hood. There was nobody in the hood sniffing cocaine in Brooklyn. That, you know what I mean? It was when crack was introduced that it got crazy, but people smoked marijuana always in the hood in Brooklyn, and it was the same thing in Jamaica. Ain't nobody in a country a sniff coke. You know what I mean? A herb man smoke a country. But uptown people used to do it too, you know, in their privacy. And now the culture has just changed. The culture has just completely changed now, you know? And it's not too different from what happened in America.
I have a question. You say that there's shops in Jamaica where you can legally buy recreational marijuana? I didn't know that had changed.
Yeah, the law passed
well, no,
going on about 2 years now.
But they weren't selling it recreationally. Medically, yes. Recreationally, not legally. Rastas were distributing it, and they were sort of quasi-allowed to. But it wasn't. Have you ever seen a legal shop selling recreational, Marcus, in Jamaica?
You know what? I just contacted Bird Eye. He used to be in the Nomads, and he owns a spot in Mo Bay called Island Vibes. So he's selling cannabis. Now, whether it's under the medical cannabis banner or whether it's under a recreational banner, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure anyone over 18 or 19 can go into his shop and buy herb. So it's pretty loose in the sense of, and like Mojo was saying, it's not like the island was ever like a real, it was only at roadblocks and airports and like police stations that you kind of had to be really careful about herb, and pretty much anywhere else. I mean, I'll never forget in my life driving through a cane field with my friend Vincent. This was about 1995. I'm driving through a cane field to get to a place. What place was that? Roaring River, between Savlamar and Negril. And beautiful, beautiful place with beautiful people and beautiful food, and just like one of my favorite places in the world, actually.
Yeah, you took me there, Marcus.
Right, of course I did. I love Roaring River. But I was going through a cane field, and Vincent was leading the way. And, you know, it was 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was that straight up, you know, 3 o'clock roadblock sort of thing. And we see the roadblock, and it's this little kind of gravel road, and they're, you know, down in the middle of the cane field. And we get up so close, I can see the expressions on their face. And he basically stops me and he says, "Hey, you got weed?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got weed." And he's like, "Well, throw it out." And I'm like, "Right here?" They're looking at us. He's like, "Just throw it out." So I throw it out on the side of the road, and we keep driving. We get almost right to them, and he does like a 180. And I'm like, "What the fuck?" So I do a 180. The cops are like staring at us like, "What the fuck?" And we turn back around. He goes over to my herb and picks it up and gives it to me. And then he says to me, I know a better way. And we start driving in the other direction. And I was like, holy shit, dude. Like where I'm from, those cops would have fucking hailed us down and shook us down, bro. I couldn't believe they just stood there like at the roadblock. They were just like, whatever, man, if you're not going to go past, we don't have a problem with you. They watched us throw a baggie on the side of the road. I mean, fucking God bless Jamaica is all I can say.
I've been there. I've done that. I remember me and Rob Clark were driving out of Kitama. I had rented a car and we were driving out of Kitama and we were going down to the coast. And there's a roadblock. And Rob says, what are we going to do? And we had ground up 100 kilos of weed and made 150 grams of the best Moroccan hash you've ever seen in your life. So he had half of it in his pocket. He threw it out the fucking window. Me, I put the metal to my foot to the floor and just sped right past the cops and just waved at them as I went by.
Oh my God, Sam. That's I think it's important to hear stories like this, you know? People have to know, for all the horrible, like, locked up stories, for all the, like, nightmares, like, you know, that's what I liked about Noel. Did you ever talk to Noel Van Schaik, any of you guys, in regards to his story of escaping, like, Spanish authorities and, like, jumping off a giant wall into the fucking ocean?
Yes, also Eddie from Flying Dutchman had a similar story from France.
Holy
I think we
Christ.
all have stories. Even in America, you know, it's like a lot of. I mean, I have stories where I've been caught with weed by cops and been shook down, been arrested, and I have stories where I've been caught with weed. There was one time I used to work a lot with. I still do with the hip hop group Hieroglyphics from the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And I was doing a little tour with Souls of Mischief. 20 years ago on the West Coast, and I was driving them around like Miss Daisy, right? And we had this big, like, whatever, like Dodge Caravan or something. This was like 20 years ago, at least. Actually, this is more than 20 years ago. And we were going up to Portland to do a show at the Roseland Theater, and I was going about 85 miles an hour. Remember, 22 years ago, 85 miles an hour was even faster than it is now, right? Or you know, contextually, and these two cops caught us, and we were just smoking blunts like crazy, right? They was just going. I was smoking Eurotrash. I was trying to get him into Eurotrash style instead of smoking the nasty Swisher Sweet or the Big Al or whatever. I was saying, just put a little organic tobacco in your mix. You know what I mean? And then, but you know, that's a different flavor, a different taste. People need to get used to it or not. You know, maybe I was just being a bad influence, but they was already smoking blunts. So I was like, anyway, we were the spot was blowing up. It was like full Dutch oven in the car, and we got caught going 85. You know, and I was just like, oh my God. And the cops, there was two cops, and one of them Super Ranger Rick, but he wasn't the senior officer, but he was ready to bust skulls, man. You could just tell he was ready. But his homeboy, his partner, who had the authority, he was hella cool, right? And we get caught going 85, open the smoke pouring out and shit. He's like, "Where you guys going?" I was like, "Yeah, we're going to the Roseland Theater to do a show. We're a group, blah blah blah." He goes, and I thought it was like step out the car, everything like this. He says, "I'll go back to the car, blah blah blah." So he goes back to the car, comes back, and he gives me a warning ticket, right? And he says, "Oh, you know, thank you." And I just looked at him and I said to him, literally, it was the stupidest un-Jedi I thing I ever said in my life. I was like, "You're letting us go?" And my boys are like, "Shut the fuck up and go." You know? I mean, I was like, oh. So I think we all have stories where it's just like, you know, the authoritarian system, the institution, the Babylon system. You know what I mean? You can fall into it, or you can. If there's no method, it's to the madness. It could be arbitrary at times, you know. So I think we all have these stories where we got caught by cops and with weed and got let go. But then we all have the other stories.
Yep, no doubt. I got caught in France after I met Marcus at the High Times Canada's Cup. I was done a tour, a European tour, and we had met the guys at the Blue Dolphin Cafe, and they said, "Hey, you still got your gear? I want you to play the High Times 420 party." So we ended up playing it. We packed our gear up. I said my goodbyes. Everybody was giving us stuff on the way out. We went through to get back to Heathrow. We took the ferry back. I got stamped. Everybody was stamped. We were all on the tour bus. I remember cracking open the Blue Dolphin haze, starting to roll a joint, and then the officer comes and knocks on the bus and says, "Turn it around." And I spent the next 12 hours literally tearing the whole bus apart. They took all my drum equipment apart. They took every single bit. They got me down to my literally nothing, man. It was a lift the balls situation. You know,
I've had that too. I've had that on the French-Swiss border.
Yeah,
I was strip searched on we were in France. Me and my boy Al Dog were in France. This was 20 years ago and 19 years ago. And I had brought some weed to France, and then we ran out. And I was like, let's go to Switzerland and get some.
Yeah.
And we went, and we had nothing, right? And we go on the Swiss border, and my boy Al Dog forgot his passport. And I was like, dude, don't we need to go back? He's like, no, I've got my driver's license. They'll let me in with that.
Yeah.
And I was like, word, the Swiss will? I was like, okay. And we get to the border, and it's this is kind of similar to your story, Bubble. And we get out. This motherfucker had a gram of some super dank shit in his backpack that he had totally forgotten about from Amsterdam, right? So lo and behold, they give us some preliminary search. They find that shit. Next thing you know, they strip search, right? I go first, right? So they put me in this little room. Al Dog's waiting outside, all wide-eyed and freaked out. And they put me in, buck naked, got to strip down. They put you on this wall, make you put your hands like this, not like this, but like this on the wall. And there's dirty fingerprints on the wall, and there's dirty toe prints on the floor where they make every motherfucker stand to do this shit, right? And so I was just like, oh my God. And so they said they were speaking French to me, and my French wasn't that good at that time. And then they switched to German, and they were saying, hast du Messer? Like, you got a knife. And I said to them, do I look like I fucking got a knife? Like making me spread my butt cheeks and everything. It's like totally demeaning, horrible. And then I swear to God, honest to Pete, this next mug comes in with a glove like this in the door, like putting the glove on. And I knew, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to jail because this ain't happened to me. And I said to him in my horrible French, I said, tu peux pas mettre en mon intérieur. And that translates as, you cannot put in my inside. And they're like, no, we're not gonna put in the side. But Al Dog is seeing homeboy come in with the glove too. So comes in with the glove. They did not go inside. I wasn't gonna let them. I said to my shitty friend, no. I walk out the door. Al Dog's freaked out, and I looked at Al Dog. I said, "It's not that bad, Al Dog." I should have just razzed him, but the situation was so hard. I should have come out like with a limp and shit. But just when in hindsight, that would have been such the bomb thing to do. But it was such a serious situation. I said, "Al, it's not that bad." So he goes in. Same thing happens. We come back, right? We get on back in the car. They said, we're not going to let you in. We're like, come on, let us in. They said, we're not going to let you in. They said, come on, let us in. They say, okay, we'll let you in. Just buy the $40 vignette to drive the highways in Switzerland. We're like, okay, bet. And then the dude goes, and the customs, the border guy goes and gives this gram back to Al Dog.
That's crazy. I had the same thing happen to me. That's crazy.
But then Al Dog, right? So this shit happens in Europe. Europe is definitely even more arbitrary with their constabulary. And but then Al Dog's like, what do you want me to do with it? And the guy says, I want you to throw it away. Al Dog, we're just looking like, so Al Dog he opens up the car. He takes his little baggie. There's a flagpole right out there, right? And he goes and he takes his little gram and he throws it out and the gram falls out, and he actually keeps the baggie, right? Because he doesn't want to litter, right? So he comes back in the car, and they're like, thank you very much. And we go on. So that was their disposal, a way of disposal, taking our shit, is they just had Al Dog go and dump it on the flagpole. It was just the weirdest thing. And then after a whole fucking ordeal, we go into Switzerland, and that's a whole other story that I won't get into.
But that's crazy, man. The guy packed the bowl and said he pushed it across the table, and I thought he was just I thought I was in a lot of trouble, man.
Did you say he packed the bowl?
He took a little nug, he put it in the bowl, he pushed it across, and I just looked at him, and then he told me, you know, it's crazy, man. They pitted the whole band against each other, being like, you had it. Ben said you did it, and then of course he said, that I did it to Ben. It was unbelievable, man. It was, but yeah, they. It's the way it is because we were just trying to.
Where did that happen? You said on the Swiss border.
Yeah, on the Swiss-French border. I was in France and I was going into Switzerland. So I forget. I think I actually forget if it was the French customs. I think it was the Swiss customs because they were switching to German and French, like it was nothing. So I'm pretty sure it was Swiss customs.
The French are just as bad.
Well, the French are worse. I mean,
I was leaving France going into Germany. I had a T-shirt that had something about cannabis on it. They completely strip searched me and my wife. And we didn't have anything. Zero.
Wow.
Well, you're a lucky man because I'm walking in France, 1999, going to the supermarket, me and my brothers, and we get stopped by the police, ask for our ID. Luckily, we were on our way to Western Union and had our passports in our pocket. Gave them the U.S. passports, and they're like, "Oh no, these are fake." And we're like, "Excuse me." So we go straight Springfield, Massachusetts on it. We don't even go Brooklyn because we were born in Brooklyn and educated in Springfield, Massachusetts. So we switched up on them straight up like, you're telling us that we're not American, sir? Would you like to go to the U.S. Embassy? And we go straight proper. And it's sad, but what you just said, bro, about them passing the weed back to you, I'm getting harassed in Europe around the same time frame, late 90s, right? You talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, sir. Bro, in 2012, I'm in France, I'm in Switzerland, going from Geneva, from a part of France right next to Switzerland to Geneva. Like, you got to go through France. It's weird the way the highway is.
Yeah, I know how Geneva, that tiny little thing that's basically almost circumscribed by France.
You know what I'm talking about. It's like you go into France and you got to come back and you're going through a border while driving in Switzerland. So we go through this checkpoint and we did not have our passports on us. We was going to perform. Had no weed. They told us to get out of the car. Had no paraphernalia. And we had to go inside, give our names, etc., all these things. And they had to find us in a database to prove that we were not Africans trying to illegally migrate to Switzerland.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that's an interesting thing because when I moved to Europe, I come from a big city in America. I grew up very multiculturally. And then you go over to Europe and you see how this was 20 years ago. So it's a little bit different now, but like we lived in Amsterdam, and so the black population in Amsterdam was Surinamese, and it was weird. I just thought all these black guys all here. Everyone's got there's some black culture here, but it's really different in Europe. It's with the Africana. Even Suriname is not Africa. It's South America, but they were slaves that Dutch took from Africa to take to Suriname a long time ago. And so you realize how the Africans, the Africano massives are treated in Europe versus black culture in America. And it's completely different. It's completely different. I tell a lot of my black friends in America, hey, if you're complaining about America, fucking go to Europe because it is some straight bullshit. And it is because of the whole African thing. But once they know you're American, then they knew we were American just by the way we were talking. But I think you said it well. And even till today, because of all the situations,
happening in Northern Africa. These little things happen, but you know, for the most part, it don't really be rolling like that in Europe with cannabis outside of the Netherlands. So that you were extremely lucky, my friend. Put it that way.
Well, there's been times. Well, I've been in prison, 3 different prisons in Europe too. And there was a time I went to France from Amsterdam once where I put a ball of hash, like a 2-gram ball of hash, in my 5th pocket in my Levi's, and I get off the train in Paris, and this little cute, cuddly dog comes up to me and just sits down, and I'm like, oh, little dog sat down right next to me, and then right behind this little dog is a police officer, and she was like, do you have any cannabis on you? I'm like, nope. She fully searched me. It was only like 2 grams, so it wasn't that bulgy in my pocket, right? My 5th pocket. And she said, I'm going to search you. She said, do you have any? I said, no. She says, well, if I find some, you're going to go to jail tonight. And I said, no, I don't have any. And I was just like, Jedi and I, Jedi and I, Jedi and I. And she goes and searches me, and she did not find it. And, you know, there I was. But that was just one other time I almost went to fucking jail. And, you know, the thing about Europe is, they don't need probable. There's no such thing as probable cause in Europe. I mean, I guess in America, post 9/11, there ain't, you know, stop and search, whatever. There ain't no need for probable cause in America now. Sad to say.
Yeah. Have you been through the Arizona stop, man? I got stopped there with like literally, man. I like unscrewed the side of the inside of the bus and like stuffed 2 ounces in a turkey bag, and we had like 4 dogs on the bus. And this is like 10 years ago, and they took us all, the whole band, off the bus, searched all of us, and they didn't find anything. I got a picture with the dude because I just was like, you know. But I don't know if you've been through there, but that was one of the, every time we knew it, man. We knew we were gonna get singled out, and they're just like, pull over.
I've got one more story that's kind of interesting. So this is in Holland, in Amsterdam, or near Amsterdam, and some folks had a lot of cannabis growing in greenhouses. A lot, I mean, tons. And they had to transport it to the manicuring and drying because they didn't want to dry it, manicure it on site. It's not so a safe thing to do to bring so many people. So there's an entire large van, I mean a big van with a few hundred large boxes, each one with freshly harvested branches, you know, a couple kilos in each box. And they're driving down the street or on the freeway, and they get pulled over. The driver gets pulled over. And so he's going, oh, fuck, what's going to happen now? The cop immediately, as soon as he got close to the van, he opened up the back door. He looked inside of it. He just went, oh, shit. He closed the door, and he goes, well, I'm just going to let you go this time. He didn't want to do all the paperwork.
The Dutch cops are mad cool. I've had a few experiences with the Dutch cops, thinking I was going down for sure. And the Dutch cops are definitely...
Well, you got to remember that Dutch cops, until maybe the last 10 years, they were allowed to legally smoke cannabis when they weren't on duty.
Oh.
There was nothing that prohibited it. Now it's prohibited by law.
Was that because of the pressure from the Christian conservative government?
I don't know who put the pressure on, but Holland, the last decade, has gotten worse and worse.
Well, I think, you know, we all have, like I said, we all have those stories, and there's no method to the madness. That's why the Babylon system is just like legalize all drugs, because it's just a way to take control over people's lives. And, you know, those cops didn't care. They were strip searching us after they found the gram and hastu mesa. Do you have knife? Do you have knife? You know, it's just like, they just, power corrupts, man. You get little Ranger Ricks in that position, and you know, shit's gonna happen. And you know, all I can say is thank God for constabulary discretion, because you know, that discretion is what makes you go down if you get a bad cop, or stay out, keep your freedom if you got a good cop. And you know, I'm a public policy geek. You know, I guess my degree is actually political science, but there's legalizing all drugs all over the world is the way to combat that situation.
Probably even more importantly, Alex, that reason would be the amount of, like, just here in Vancouver alone, 1,400 overdoses last year, all like dead. There were many, many more overdoses that didn't die, but those are all the ones who passed away. And that's an epidemic.
How many of those are on legal drugs and not heroin? How many of those are on fentanyl and?
Well, you know what? Inevitably, Mark, it was always fentanyl or carfentanil, but the person always didn't know.
Exactly.
So that's part of the keeping the drugs illegal thing, that, like, there's the whole thing that Alex mentioned, but then there's the actual aspect of public safety.
The number one drug researcher in America, Dr. Carl Hart from Columbia University, he is a very interesting character. He's actually the first Black tenured professor for Columbia. So if that shows how far we still need to come. Wow. But he's a real interesting cat. And he's the one, if you look at what his studies say, or what he espouses, is clearly drugs do need to be legal and then you'll have fewer deaths, because he says the two main reasons people overdose are that it's either adulterated or they're mixing it with something that they clearly shouldn't. So when you get some heroin from a street dealer, they're not going to be like, oh, don't mix this with fentanyl or whatever. So some people are still going to, have overdoses and do, that shit's gonna happen. It's a big world, but
that shit's in way more than just heroin, dude. They put it in all sorts of powdered drugs.
Well, here's a word for the wise too. I think this happened last week. There's a band called Dark Star Orchestra. They're a Grateful Dead band that plays reproduced Grateful Dead shows from years gone by. And I want to say this was in Providence, Rhode Island. I think it was somewhere out east. I'm not exactly sure. But they stopped the show after the first set, and the band left, and they emptied the venue because there were 4 overdoses in the crowd. Someone was passing around a fentanyl-laced vape pen, And when you're at a music venue and someone passes you a vape pen, you're like, oh, yeah, vape, whatever. Yeah. So I'm sure people are just carefree. But now you almost have to be careful whose vape pen you suck off of. It might have fentanyl in it. Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm not trying to suck off nobody's vape pen except
for real.
Holy shit, man. That is.
Yeah, I don't know about bro. That whole suck off on the other person's vape pen. I think vape pen should be a personal thing. I'm not opposed to if somebody got you just trying the flavor of the one hit from your homie that been your boy for 10 years. It's a different type of vibe.
Exactly.
No doubt, man.
Yeah.
Mojo, why don't you tell us, you got a new single out, right? With Stephen Marley. I heard it the other day. It was ill, dude. That Bob Marley sample is retarded. You want to tell us about your new single a little bit? Switch it up.
Oh yeah, Be Free. That, we're talking about certain elements within the cannabis industry and the hemp industry and the growth over the years, but continues in a lot of different parts of the world. So Be Free, I did a single. It's the first single from my upcoming solo debut album called Be Free, featuring Stephen Marley and my brother James Morgan from the group. And we said, let them lead the rebellion. 1 billion soldiers full of conviction, determination to rock the nation. Caution to each and every nation, this is an invasion of the next generation. Diamond can't polish without some friction. Children to what you've been learning. 50 years ago, parents are talking, don't fit in. Teachers can open doors. They got to.
Oh shit, you cut out there for me, Mojo.
Stand. Oh no. Who got the master plan? Who knows? No honey, no work, no money. Shoulders to the wheel and let's get going. Oh yeah. So when you listen to that song, it's a call for the revolution.
And then you got the
revolution
bomb. Here I am walking down the right.
Nice.
Yeah. Steve coming with that.
Oh yeah, no, Steven sings that. Right.
I noticed that it was 4 minutes.
Comes in on that.
I noticed that it was 4 minutes and 20 seconds long.
Oh, that's the remix. That's the J Vibe remix. That's like a Naya Binge version. So that one sort of puts you in a trance where the original version, we sample Caution, Whalers album called The Best of the Whalers, coincidentally. It's a song that Bob Marley sang lead on. And we had Steven sing over his dad's part in the record. And Gramps sang chorus, calling for freedom. So as we speak about the transition the world is making right now with cannabis and the hemp industry, there's still a lot of places where people are still being locked up for it. So that song is for those type of people and freedom fighters, all around the globe. Because it's still a struggle as we can.
Scene. The battle's just begun.
It's unbelievable how much they're still fighting it. The whoever, the agenda, the governments, they just seem to be fighting this plant right tooth and nail, down to the last.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Mojo, you got some you still doing the CBD water, and you got anything new products or anything? Mojo,
Well, the family has this. Gramps has this CBD line, and that's the thing that we're focused on a lot right now is the CBD element of this gold rush, the green rush, and I think it's important that in enjoying the recreational benefits and highlighting that and talking about that, we need to really highlight and talk about the medicinal benefits and how the alternative to cannabis, is a sister herb called hemp that, doesn't come with the psycho components that with and the medicinal benefits far exceed that THC. So, even though we know cannabis come with CBD, I think what my brother
got a bad connection
is doing, and his mom being a scientist for the U.S. government, and them forming, Raya, after she discovered the benefits of CBD that was derived from hemp, because she couldn't mess with cannabis, of course, being an employee of the U.S. government. And she really did a great thing when she created her own tincture and started treating her son. And the kid is walking, at 2 years old. He's, walking, talking. One of his eyes was closed down after the surgery, seeing out of both eyes, and all of that is happening when the doctor said, don't be surprised if he doesn't even walk or even make a sound before 7-8 years old.
And that's the thing we can't.
So
that's why the battle's still. That's why we've just begun. People. Rasta say herb about the healing of the nation. Jack Hare, my mentor, used to always say, "Hemp will save the planet," and And I just saw a quote from Jack says, "I'm not sure if hemp will save the planet, but it's the only thing that can." And
now it's all about money. Look, legitimate investment is now placed themselves into the cannabis industry. Yeah. There's huge multi-million-dollar funds. This is all about money. Kid you not. It's all about control over it and who gets to make the money. It has nothing to do with really what's best for society.
Well, it has to do. Of course, nothing ever does. But if you can monetize certain things, then you can. It still will find the benefits. So, for example, in Oregon.
Well, let's call a spade a spade. What the DEA did is they moved CBD out of Schedule 1. CBD comes from the fucking plant, okay? Yeah, how can something that has no medical use come up with a compound that is curing these diseases or making these diseases a lot better for the people who have them? It's bullshit. There is medical use for the cannabis plant. It's been established. It's been proven by government-funded studies here, and it's all about the fucking money. It's about John Boehner and Acreage Holdings and all those motherfuckers who want the money going their way, right? It's not about, bringing the herb to reunify humans with the plant. It's
Yeah,
all
man.
about fucking
And I
money.
see, I see that in New York right now, guys. It's you walk around and it's CBD everywhere. Misinformed.
Do you really care who makes the money? I don't care who makes.
I don't
the money.
either.
If herb is legal, that's what's important.
Exactly.
No, but what they need to do is they need to remove cannabis from Schedule 1. If they remove cannabis from Schedule 1, a lot of things change, including its legality and the biggest
that's going to happen, Mark.
the biggest fraud is that it exists in Schedule 1, where the definition of Schedule 1 says no known medical benefit. How does the FDA approve CBD for use on epilepsy if there's no known benefit? It's a fucking scam. It's a fucking it's bullshit. I mean, it's being perpetrated.
You're preaching to the choir there, but here's the caveat: if they need to deschedule cannabis, because if they reschedule cannabis, then that's just going to give more. That's going to prop big pharma.
Yeah, remove it from the schedule. It's a medicated herb. It's not a plant, and it should be regulated as such.
Absolutely, like chamomile, like Jack Hare said, like tomatoes.
And it becomes dangerous that when we have all these terminologies moving at a pop culture level that are really that aren't really grabbing a hold of itself at that academic level. It can be very confusing in the long term. So I understand, the point of view, but it's a tricky one here, man. I will agree. I see it here in New York where it's every corner. It's like $3 for it in your coffee, but it's most of the time not really full spectrum cannabis. And
right, full spectrum is the deal.
I hate to say it, but to be honest, I wish every policeman, every highway patrolman, every prison officer was able to make lots of money involved with cannabis, growing it legally. And they could all quit their jobs and become good citizens.
Amen.
Well, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with GW's approval of Epidiolex here in the States, because the CBD business is roaring. There's no stopping it. The genie's out of the bottle. Toothpaste is out. Oh, wait a second, I can't use that because there's a guy on YouTube who puts toothpaste back in the tube. So it's all about control. It's all about who controls a commodity that people want. Everyone knows this is a billion-dollar industry, and I'm on board with you, Sam. I'm not really saying that people shouldn't make money on it, but I think there's a hypocrisy that exists within government today to keep cannabis on Schedule 1 while they take Epidiolex, which is nothing more than a fucking CBD tincture that costs $35,000 US a year, and move it to Schedule 5. It's fucked up.
Well,
I know the CBD product that GW produces fairly well. I've read the variety that they use.
It's all going to be pharma in 10 years.
Down at the gas station that does the same fucking thing for $10. Okay.
So I guess that was another question. So are the genetics? Is that really what they're saying that they have above and beyond everyone else? Sam, is they're saying that hey, listen, we have the progeny, we have the genetics to make this particular type of formulation that nobody else has access to. I mean, it seems to me.
No, their Epidiolex product is just a CBD variety. There's nothing else. It's just the CBD level of the plant is about 10% manicured buds, dried buds, and it has very low THC. I mean, it's 0.0 something. So it's really low.
So here's the deal. They're going to fuck everything up, okay? We know it's all going to get fucked up. That's not a news flash. That's nothing new. I produced the biggest business-to-business cannabis event in Europe, in Berlin. And what I tell people, so I see it all, man. I deal with the big guys. I deal with the little guys, from the street to the boardroom. That's how Jedi and I roll, And that's just, and I like it that way, right? Because you keep your ear to everyone's cipher. You know what I'm saying? But what I tell folks when I get up at the beginning to kind of just bring the narrative, create a narrative that's more like on my level, is I say your administrators, your politicians. This is what I said the very first time in Germany, and they were taken aback, but they had to hear it. I said, your politicians, your administrators are going to fuck everything up. That's clear. They're gonna do that. For me, the most important thing is, and this is what I tell when I go into a brand new market, like Germany was, especially when we did the first ICBC in Berlin. I said the most important thing is that we end criminal penalties towards cannabis, and everyone can have a robust home garden. So if they legalize cannabis, and then you don't have but you can't have a home garden, then the fight is not over, But if they legalize cannabis and criminal penalties are ended, and you can have a robust home garden, then I'm in for whatever's clever.
Yeah.
And Oregon Oregon's a great example of that, where not only have we reduced like heavily. Like somebody could sell someone a pound on the street in Oregon, not have a license or anything, and it's not a felony, And so this is what I've got to see this. I've been fortunate enough to live in Oregon and see this microcosmic utopian example of what's going on with with cannabis in terms of that ending criminal penalties, robust home garden. And then I use that as an analogy when I travel around the world and talk to people, because you can talk about the ins and outs and how it's going to be, but that a nickel might get you a cup of coffee. So for me, it's like break it down to get rutical on things and say what's really important. And for me, home garden, ending criminal penalties, the conversation ends there. And even though I am a cannabis business person, because I'm a disciple of Jack Hare, I look at things from a consumer perspective, right? And so I just look at things from the average mug. So in Oregon now, you can get top weed for like $2 a gram. It's crazy, right? And all the growers are complaining, right? But I don't care, because all that money was made off of prohibition anyway. What I care about is getting the best product for the best price. When I was 20, I was buying $400 ounces in Northern Cali, and I was feeling like a drug addict because I was buying the weed before I'd buy my fucking bread, right? And that was dread, right? So what go on now in Oregon? Everybody can smoke, you know what I'm saying? And it's cheap, it's good, it's safe, and they can have their own home garden. I know multiple cats who aren't in the weed game but have their 4 plants. That's not what I would call a robust garden. We'd like to make that more. You can get your medical marijuana card and grow like 12, but and that's just like a couple $100 more. But I know a million people who are just growing their liquor Aishans, and then they got the whole year's worth of Aishans from their 4 plants, because we have such a great growing climate out here. So basically that's what I tell folks all around the world. Everyone's gonna fuck shit up. We know that. It's not a news flash. So what are we gonna do about it?
Schedule 1 listing of cannabis is really hurting Oregon in the following way. Oregon produces way more herb than they could possibly smoke as a single state populace. When cannabis is no longer on Schedule 1 and we could do state-to-state commerce, Oregon's going to be a major player in producing quality herb that can go all over the country, if not all over the world. It's a Schedule 1 hang-up here that's basically keeping Oregon's industry in the dump and making growers be poor where they can't, afford their bills, can't afford to do this anymore. I know people who've gotten out of the cannabis industry in Oregon because the regulation was so crazy that they were gonna lose all their money.
I don't know if regulations are crazy, because it's easy to get in the game in Oregon, but it's hard to then sell your weed once you grow it, because all the big growers have scaled, and now it's $300 a pound. So that's the issue. And yes, you're correct that when it's rescheduled or descheduled, then there will be a whole nother conduit. In fact, there's a big I'm supporting a big bill that we're trying to get passed that already does that and allows for Oregon to export. So when the government does give the okay, that Oregon will be able to hit the ground running. And so that's, I'll probably,
you hit the nail on the head exactly why the CBD rush is going on right now. Yeah. I think one of the reasons why people are growing CBD, even in legal states, is because you have a much larger addressable market. Yeah. You're more likely to be profitable if you're growing CBD, because you can, basically sell those products anywhere,
Yeah, anywhere. A lot of my boys adapted who were just, growers or whatever. Now they got acres of fucking hemp and selling the CBD, and they're not as regulated. And it was a great pivot for them.
We're seeing that in New York State and Massachusetts now. I mean, I have a license in Massachusetts, and that market in itself is so different than the West Coast because it's just coming online at such a new time. But it's I see us go, the Massachusetts market going the same way. Everything's going to drop once everybody comes online, and it's an inevitable balancing act that we have to play at this point. But it's we have a lot to learn from each other all over the place.
Hey, I want to thank Mojo for coming on. He said he's got a split here. I just got an email from him. So thanks a lot, Mojo, for coming on. We'll check out your song for sure. I've been listening to it a bunch. It's really good. I hope to link with the eye one day soon.
Before Mojo, can I ask him a question?
Sure.
You got your Mojo working?
Bro, I am the Mojo. Do you got your Mojo working?
I am, because I'm listening to you, my brother.
Man, thanks, man. It was a joy hanging out with all you guys. Jedi and I, Alex, thank you for making it happen. Marcus, you've been an awesome host. And yeah, check out the new music. Africa, Jamaica by Morgan Heritage, available on all streaming and platforms and download platforms. Same for Be Free, featuring Stephen Marley, Gramps Morgan, by myself, Mojo Morgan, and the remix drops this coming Friday. Naya Bingy vibes, and let's do it again soon.
So here's a quick question for you. That song that you sent me, is it copyrighted by YouTube?
It is, but it isn't released yet. So if you play it, it's not gonna spike.
All right, I just don't want to lose the show because they usually strike those shows off the channel. But I would love to play the song. It's
play
good.
it. Nothing won't happen, brother. You're good to go.
All right. Well, if something does happen, we might be getting in touch with your production company to send an email to YouTube on my behalf.
Yeah, that'll be me. That'll be me. We independent.
Word. That's what's up.
That's where you got to be now.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, when I end the show I'm probably going to end in the next 45 minutes. I'll play it. I'll play out the show with the song.
All right,
yes,
brother.
We cannabis.
All right.
Don't give thanks, Mojo.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Yes, we cannabis.
Morgan Heritage.
Mad vibes.
Dude, I don't know if you guys know, but like the father of the Morgan Heritage had was it 40 children?
I don't know.
No, he's got more than 20 or 30. He has a lot of children. It's a huge crew that are all super talented.
Well, I gotta say, whatever he did, his sons, Peta, Gramps, and Mojo, they're just the sweetest, most down to earth. They are the real deal. No fake to the front. It is. They've been a pleasure to work with over the years for me, and I only work with a few different crews. That's why I always worked with Hieroglyphics, because I was working with a lot of hip hop crews. And then I realized I just want to work with Hyro because they're just such roots, down to earth folks. So I can't say enough about the whole Morgan Heritage family. 29
children. My bad. It was a lot, though. It's amazing.
Well, he should have more.
Quite a few.
He breeds the best people on the planet.
For real.
Probably a good thing we don't all have 29 children.
Well, we all can't do that. That's for sure. But that's the spice of life on this planet. I have 3, and that I'm pretty overwhelmed with that.
I got one, and she's breaking my balls on the daily. I love her to death.
Oh yeah.
I got 2. 16 and 21. The problems only get bigger when they get older.
That's what I've been told. I'm like, oh my God.
That's not true, Mark. I mean, I've got 135 and 141, and problems get less every year.
Whoa. There's 21, and then there's all the problems between 20 and 30, and then figure your shit out time.
Yeah, you're in figure your shit out time.
Like a parabolic function, as age increases, they become less dependent on you, and But when they're young, being a parent it certainly takes a lot of work.
My girls were never dependent on me. They wanted to, as soon as they could, move out and get on their own.
Well, they got your
Must have been that skunk smell.
Must have been the Skunkman Sam.
Well, that I usually walk around my house.
that would do it.
You know, the kids of hippies who never smoke weed. They're like, yeah, my parents
Dad,
always
what
smoked
is
it. I
that
always smelled
smell? What is that smell, Dad? Ugh.
Cigarette.
No doubt.
I was complaining about the
They
mushroom
knew very
farms.
well what it was since they both worked in my greenhouse occasionally.
We live in an area of Pennsylvania where there's a lot of mushrooms, the little white button mushrooms. And I don't know if you know how those are cultivated. They basically grow on sawdust and horse shit.
You talking about Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, man?
Yes, Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. That's right. So I'm right down the road.
I know that place really well.
Yeah. So one day I walked into my chiropractor's office, who had an open office. So all the patients were all in there. And the smell was just so thick outside that when I walked into the office, I'm like, oh God, that mushroom smell. Holy shit. Well, I didn't realize, but one of the patients was the owner of a mushroom business. And he looked up off the chiropractor bed and looked up at me and said, "You smell that?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "That's the smell of money."
Those guys are characters, man. Those mushroom farmers. They're good people, though.
Yeah, well, they hire boatloads of Mexicans to come up and work those mushroom houses because, again, I don't know anybody else who would possibly do that work. It's
some good outdoor region too. That's particular part of Pennsylvania is really good for outdoor. When that bill came online,
there's a lot of hemp now being grown. A lot of hemp being grown in Pennsylvania. Not too far from where I live. Sort of like the cradle of the hemp industry during the 13 colonies. I believe William Penn taxed his farmers for not growing hemp. So if you didn't grow hemp, because what did Her Majesty need to conquer the world? She needed ships, and so ships are driven on sails and ropes and everything else that can be derived from hemp. So it's good to see it coming back to Pennsylvania. We're putting in an application to grow 100 acres next year at my friend's company.
Great.
And we're going to start putting it into food, into dairy. We're going to I believe CBD is the vitamin C of the future, and everything from baby formula to geriatric medicine and everything in between will be fortified with CBD in the future.
Believe it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It'll be Skunkman Sam's biggest nightmare.
Well, I'm not a real fan for personal use, but I was happy enough to develop the first high CBD variety. So, I mean,
it's all your fault.
I see it useful for people, and if they enjoy it and it's useful for them, more, different smokes for different folks.
What if it was in everything and you could no longer get high?
Then I think I would drop thermonuclear devices on the health.
Now, do you think CBD, Sam, has been something that we've just overlooked for a long time, and it's just been under our noses the whole time? And is there a particular reason why we didn't study it?
I developed my variety more than 20 years ago. We were looking into CBD before that.
And it's been there a lot longer than that.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely. To produce CBD, you don't get more than 1 or 2% from hemp. But there's varieties that produce more than 25% CBD.
And I guess just for sake of conversation, because it's a single species, do you think it's a true mutation of this Cannabis sativa L, or is it something that that really is bred and selected, or is it really, how does when you were first starting with that, just out of curiosity, how did you get down to the selection process? Because it's so fascinating.
Well, with the breeding program, I was able to create varieties that were pure CBD, pure THC. That's the easy one. Lots of farmers have done that worldwide for years. But also CBC, CBG, THCV, CBGB, CBCB. So I can produce with breeding plants that basically produce large amounts of only one single cannabinoid.
Yeah, and so the biochemical basis for that is the fact that those different varieties have different expression levels of the synthases that are basically the molecular machinery in the plant that actually make those final compounds. And so in some cases, there's what are called knockouts, where the way that the gene codes for the protein that's made from it, or the enzyme that's made, there's like a mutation that's made, and for some reason now you have a dysfunctional enzyme. I think that, Sam has always said that about CBD synthase in skunk #1. It's dysfunctional for some reason.
Yeah, it's non-functional, correct.
Non-functional. So in other varieties, again,
version of it.
Yeah, so in other varieties, those synthases are upregulated at the expense of other synthases being downregulated. And the genome is really...
The main thing, Mark, is also that all varieties do not have all synthases.
That's right.
So you've got to have the synthase expressed in large amounts like you're talking about, plus you need the sites of production, resin, flowers.
And then on the topic of enzyme production, do you see any enzymatic biotransformation of terpenes as bioactive agents overall, meaning the way that they change in the environment?
The cannabinoid pathway in and of itself answers your question.
Okay.
The cannabinoid pathway involves the marriage of a terpene precursor with a phenol that essentially makes CBGA.
Sure.
So that answers your question right there. I mean, the biochemical transformation that happens in the cannabinoid biosynthetic pathway is terpene driven.
Okay, there it is.
Terpene driven.
I like it. Yeah, I just wanted to, because I've been reading a bunch about the environmental impact on terpenes as a chemical defense of the plant, and I just, the expressions in which they all, each cultivar can express that, at different times during the growth cycle is of extreme interest of me. So.
That said, you really need the basic synthase to produce whatever terpene, whether it's a synthase to produce limonene, a synthase to produce myrcene, or it's a terpene that it is a secondary terpene that's based on the myrcene production or the limonene production, as some of the other terpenes are. But you might know more about that than me, Mark, because I see it from a practical, hands-on plant point of view, whereas you understand the chemistry much better than me.
Well, all right. That got deep fast.
I thought Zal speaking Greek to me.
Well, one more question, I guess, to Mark is and I guess Sam too is CBG production is the first, from my understanding, the very first one that is the birther of the rest. Okay. CBGA, right? So, and now there's extreme interest in isolating this. In terms of breeding and expressions, have you ever truly seen a plant that doesn't just go on immediately to express other cannabinoids?
Oh, of course, we bred more than a decade ago CBG only varieties. Absolutely.
Okay, because that's I've seen very little of them in my career, but cool.
What's that, Sam?
Any cannabinoid that you can think of, we've already bred varieties that express only that cannabinoid.
I believe it.
We started on 20 years ago.
Techniques, right? By plant breeding, not by engineering.
Yeah. What's that, Mark?
I said by plant breeding, by traditional plant breeding techniques, not by
absolutely correct.
Not by genetic engineering, where again, once you identify the genome and the gene that codes for a certain synthase, you could basically knock that out and then express it. Again, it's an engineered
organism. You're talking about using CRISPR or something like that.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, and I guess that's a whole other conversation.
I'm not a GMO kind of guy. I'm a classical plant breeder. That's what I've always been. That's what I'll always be.
Respect to that.
It seems to work, right, Sam?
Yeah, well, people talk about, producing cannabinoids with yeast and all this kind of shit. I said, what are you talking about? You can grow a fucking plant that yields you 2 kilos of flowers. It's 25% target. And you're going to try to do it cheaper in a laboratory? Good luck.
Yeah, and I heard they were trying to grow terpenes as well, and it just doesn't make much sense, Sam. But
well, you can do it.
For you guys.
I've held beakers full of yeast that express CBD or THC or both or terpenes. It can be done, but is it cheaper? No.
Mm-hmm.
It's cheaper on the point of scaling up huge vats to basically brew cannabinoids like we brew beer. You know what I mean?
I'm not so sure it's cheaper than growing hemp. Imagine growing hemp, how cheap that is.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And if you're doing that with a THC variety or with a CBG variety, it's pretty darn cheap, Mark.
Yeah, all I know is that, a lot of things are made in this world by fermentation. Citric acid is a perfect example of a product that's made on multi-ton scale by fermentation. Fermentation is it's a way of using things like yeast and microbes to basically carry out chemistry. It's just basically biochemistry as opposed to traditional chemistry where you add chemicals to get things to happen. So I just think it's a great advance that they've actually done. The cannabinoid pathway expression in yeast, just a great scientific achievement. Ultimately, if that does produce, and they could basically now just have 5-story huge stainless steel vats of yeast that are cooking away and making cannabinoids, at the end of the day, can that be made less expensive than the traditional growing, extracting, and processing? If you're getting one cannabinoid from the yeast pathway, as opposed to several different cannabinoids you would get in a cannabis extract, it could actually be more economical. So,
Well, that's what everybody keeps saying, but I don't believe it.
I work with a couple terpene companies, and I work with a bunch of terpene companies, but a couple of them are strictly non-cannabis based. They're big terpene companies. I won't mention their names, but they're fully non-cannabis based. I just found that out at MJ Biz when I was there a few weeks ago, and I was going around talking to some preferred clients.
By any chance, are they from Israel?
They're not this two that I was speaking with. They might get their shit from I don't know how they make it or whatever.
The really non-cannabis terpene companies at the MJ BizCon. What does that tell you?
What's that?
They're non-cannabis terpene companies at the MJ BizCon.
They'll link nicely with the non-cannabis yeast growing CBD and THC companies. That can be the future of the industry. Just a bunch of shit grown on yeast and some fucking swag fruit terps.
Marcus, what we need to come up with is the non-MJ BizCon. BizCon for all the people who aren't in the cannabis industry, and those fuckers can go to Vegas and go lose their money one weekend.
So
I like it.
There's a lot of phytochemicals that we just don't know about. I think that we've those types of things. Again, it just clouds everything when we have those guys coming into these B2B things, because people, like you're saying, the non-cannabis people get swooned by the non-cannabis people.
We shall call them yeast. We shall call them yeast. They grow like a fungus.
I was shocked.
Sure. I was shocked. I was like, really?
A yeast colony, yeah.
The first time that I saw cannabis being expressed in yeast was it was in tobacco roots. It was about 25 years ago by some work done by Shoyama, a Japanese scientist. And the writing was on the wall that people were going to do this. But
they're trying to grow menthol cigarettes.
Tobacco root expressing THC, but actually he'd only moved part of what he needed to move. He had to feed it CBG to get it to do this.
Don't even the yeast groups that are growing synthetic cannabinoids need to also feed CBGA?
No, you can also, if you put in the whole chain, then it will first produce CBG, then it will produce from CBG whatever you want, THC or CBD or whatever you want.
It's fully engineered, Mark. So they engineered the pathway right into the modified yeast. So it is a genetically modified yeast that's doing it.
Including terpenes. You can express the terpene yield and expression and profile with the cannabinoid profile.
And will it just be like dank yeast? Will you just be like, dude, this yeast is so dank. This is incredible.
This yeast is loud as fuck.
Just the loudest. It's like, what's that in your pocket? Just some yeast, bro.
Yeah, just
What the fuck was that? I can smell the weed on you.
You're rolling around 5-gallon buckets.
No, it's my yeast, bro. It's my yeast.
Like sauerkraut.
Yeah, like a yeast infection.
So that's crazy.
That's crazy.
So that it's truly you would say, Sam, that it's truly the same expression that, because nature's chemist is one mysterious chemist, the way that it all comes together off the plant. So
listen, you can't possibly think, if you believe that there are a bunch of things that we maybe have not discovered about this plant yet, or if there's, new phytochemicals
I just haven't released them yet.
Right. There's a lot of different things going on that we might not be perceiving is all. I wouldn't be surprised if they found a whole new class of molecules or whatever. It's hard to say, but how do we know that just producing THC and terpenes on yeast is going to yield the same sort of entourage effect of, a flower that's been growing for a very long time?
It won't. I don't think it will.
That's my question.
I don't think it even come close.
But they must think that it will. They must think like, we'll get close.
Well, I think it's part of it is the single active ingredient mantra of the pharmaceutical industry, that every medicine just has a single active ingredient, not multiple active ingredients. And so if the cannabis plant teaches us anything, it teaches us that the biological action on humans when we consume cannabis isn't just THC alone. It's all these other things that are in there. And, we've talked about this quite a bit on Hash Church about the terpenes that modulate the cannabinoids. I think it would be really interesting to take made cannabinoids, reformulate them with a natural terpene profile that you would find in flower, and then compare the two. See if you could actually recreate that experience that you get from flower.
No doubt. I mean, that would be amazing to see that study done. I think long term that would be something we should explore. I mean, someone should explore that, because it's important to know. That's the one thing every time I talk to these guys that are really into the natural diverged terpenes, they always tell me, yeah, but you don't know what's in that extract that's coming from the plant. And it just really confuses me, because I really look at the natural terpenes as a very narrow scope, and the expression off the plant a very dynamic and three-dimensional scope. So it's confusing to me when I hear people that have extreme knowledge and PhDs, speak on that.
I will just mention that I think Rakaa is going to come in here in a minute or two, so we can kind of maybe bring the conversation back to music and cannabis. Welcome him. He's trying to figure out how to get in just with his audio. So
yeah, I haven't heard from Muggs yet. I just texted him, hadn't heard back. So
it's early, man.
I know.
It's early. And plus, you know what I know from inviting a lot of people onto Hash Church over the years, that there's always just people who A, either show up really late, or B, just can't make it, dude. It's fucking Sunday morning. Sunday morning. So come on, dude, 9 o'clock, you got to be there, Hash Church. It's like, I'm an artist.
Yeah, I got a 7-hour ride in front of me, so I'm going to pop off.
7 hours?
Yes.
Where the heck are you heading?
Driving. Well, I'm in Vermont and driving back to home.
You're in
Pennsylvania.
Vermont.
Mhm.
Were you at a show the other day?
I started a CBD operation up here. You know, Vermont is legalized too,
Mhm.
and we are putting in a processing center in what's called the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont, which is sort of like the northeast area of Vermont. We're only like about 40 or 50 miles from Canada, Marcus.
I know where that is. I know that area really well. I
So
spent a lot. I grew up in that area in Vermont.
Cool.
So,
yeah, there's a lot of folks up here who are growing hemp and not a whole lot of places to process it. So, Vermont's famous for its maple syrup, you know, all the sugar shacks in the woods, and you just see a bunch of trees in the sugar shack with the smoke going up, and you know that they're making sugar there in the
Same with
sugar
Quebec,
shack.
right over the border.
Yeah. So I think what we're going to see is those operations start to be displaced by hemp extraction operations, you know.
They're still going to be collecting syrup. It's just going to be a different type.
Syrup.
Syrup. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, shit. Well, have a good, safe travels, Mark. We'll.
Yeah. Thanks, Marcus. Great show today. Awesome.
Yeah, we got 600 people watching. Thought you might like
I
it.
have one question for you, Mark. And what do you
Yes.
think the price of CBD isolate will end up falling to?
No, that's a good question. I mean, right now, spot market prices are somewhere between 52 to 6,500 for a kilo. You know, so that's a 6.5.
About 10
per
grand
gram.
Canadian.
So think of it this way: like if I buy CBD isolate for $6 a gram, $3 of that gram probably goes to the farmer. Maybe another $2 goes to the processor, and then maybe $1 to the guy who's sort of middlemaning the operation to get the isolate to the market. So I'm not sure that it could. I don't know, Sam. I really don't know. I mean, right now, I think I kind of like what I was saying before about Oregon is that because CBD has a much larger addressable market, there's more value to growing CBD than THC. I never thought that would be the case.
Yeah.
Never. But because again, you can go to you can go to gas stations in the middle of the country that have zero cannabis laws. THC is illegal. You'll get pulled over and thrown in jail forever. You go to the gas station, behind the freaking counter, there's gummies, there's vape pens, there's this, there's that, sold at gas stations, you know.
That's happening.
So
That's happening all over Europe too. So that's what is really interesting. Is all over Europe now. The CBD is everywhere. Kind of Switzerland is where it's really popping off, and now you can just go to the bodega in Switzerland. It's totally unregulated, and they sell most of it just in the raw product of the herb, and they use it just to put in their. They mix with tobacco anyway, and they don't like to get it stoned in Europe anyway. So it's becoming a really big phenomenon. The CBD.
For a little bit of history, the CBD, when I used to buy it more than 10 years ago, it was several $100s a gram, maybe even 300 for 1 gram.
Huh.
Now, Mark's saying it's $6 wholesale.
Well, somewhere between that. I mean, it really depends, Sam. It depends on two things. And one of the things I think that we have to be concerned with is these large companies that basically are probably doing manufacturing over in China could dump it here on the U.S. market and basically put the U.S. hemp farmers out of business, because there's no way that those people can compete with people like Gencana, who probably have multi-billion-dollar, billion-ton contracts with labs over in China. Again, we talked about $3 going to the farmer, and $3, maybe $2 going to the processor, $1 going to the supply chain guy. Well, over in China, those numbers become $1. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's no way if China starts dumping CBD on the open market here, that these companies are going to be able to survive. So I think there needs to be two things. There has to be sort of the way that we have farm to table traceability and the value that's associated with that. So when you sit down at a restaurant and you eat that dinner and you know that the food and the produce is coming from local farms, and so that way the consumer is tied in to that agricultural supply chain. I think we need to do the same.
Is that way? In America, a small percentage of the
Farm
food is
table?
that way.
I think
everybody
is becoming more popular. I think it's
becoming
becoming more prevalent.
It's a collective
more than
consciousness.
1%?
Yes, it's a collective consciousness now that is happening. Everybody wants to know what's they're being put in their body. That's why I think a no-till from seed to sale, like you're saying, and even using cover crop and re-injecting the soils with the right type of nutrients, and not rotating fields and doing all of these same things that we use in ag, and we bring it to the general public as our crop that is actually worth something now to a farmer. And we teach them everything about, what it means to plant and what it means to look at certain cultivars and why you need to, I think we're at the renaissance of looking at regional genetics where
I think it would be for a giant bubble.
Right.
Kind of like the Dutch tulip bubble in the 1700s.
Well, it's a good thing we got Bubble Man on our side.
Yeah. So where do you think it goes from here, Sam?
I think the CBD, all the small producers and the people who can't do it efficiently are going to go belly up, obviously.
Right. Yep.
I mean, look what's happening in Oregon already with the price of both recreational and medical. The prices have fallen through the floor.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to welcome Rakaa into the room. I see that you just made it in, dude.
Yeah, I'm
Welcome.
sorry, man. I'm super low tech. I had to go give myself a crash course in this before I could get on here.
You know what? It's not a problem at all. You did pretty good, I have to say.
I'm here. I guess we connected the dots. How you doing?
Exactly. Doing really good, man. We've been just sort of shooting the shit, telling some stories. Mojo Morgan was in earlier talking a little bit about his latest album, and just talking about music, talking about cannabis. Got a little into some deep questions there, Collin, for a little bit about breeding and gene synthesis. We geeked out hard, so we're just chilling out, man. How you been?
I'm doing okay, man. Just staying busy, working, always writing. We've been off the road for a little while. Evidence has been doing a solo tour for the past solo campaign for the past year or so. So just gearing up, charging up.
Yeah, I linked up with Ev in Vancouver when he was here recently, and then saw him, I guess, on the tour before, actually, with Atmosphere. Shirt from those guys. Mm-hmm. And then I saw you guys. I didn't actually bump in to say hi, but I saw you guys in Toronto at the Chong brand party. No, Chom.
Choom, Choom, like Choom. I think it's Choom Gang, like Barack Obama's old crew back in Hawaii. I think he was the Choom Gang. I think it was for play on that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was cool. We haven't been doing a lot. Like I said, Evidence has been just working on his solo campaign, and it was something that's been planned for a while. We knew it was going to happen. So at the same time, my DJ Babu, he opened a school with his crew, the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound, and it's just like a full DJ curriculum for a lot of youth stuff. But they're sending champions out of that school too. So it's like a real serious DJ.
Where is that school, Rakaa?
It's in, I believe, technically it's in Glendale, California. If I'm not mistaken, it's in Southern California. I think that technically it's in Glendale, though.
I seen some video footage from it. I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. They set up a lot of turntables, and what's also really cool is, I mean, it's LA, so it's easy to find money for people that want to just throw money at something to become a DJ, but to actually take the time to teach really strong fundamentals to the kids and not just be push button, but to actually understand and appreciate the music that you're spinning and to listen to the music rather than just trying to match beats to keep the party live. It's a really strong way that they're doing it. I like it over there.
That's great to hear, man. They had a couple of schools like that in New York City for a while, man. The DJ Emerge is a friend of mine. He ran one for a little while out here, and that's how you do it, man. Inspire the young.
Absolutely. I mean, otherwise you really don't have if you have an opportunity to inspire the youth who are going to be the future and you don't, then you really don't have much place to really complain about what happens in the future when you had an opportunity to help shape that and help contribute to that. So
what are when you get with them youth, like how young are they? Are they like little youth, or are they like
Yeah, there's some of them that are. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you have to be. Is it 7 or 8? There's a cutoff where they feel like if they have like open turntable days where if people come in and bring their kids or little brothers and sisters, babies are even down there, and they'll let them play around. But because it's a classroom setting, I believe it might be 8 years old. I'll double check with Babu, but they start really young. They have like different levels of classes, very young, all kids classes. They do like workshop camps all the way up to full adult classes and even private one-on-one sessions with DJs that really want to sharpen their turntablist skills, or people that don't really have the time or the space or the equipment even, or don't feel comfortable kind of working their way up in the actual clubs. They'll go there and kind of get their skills to a level where they feel that they can debut them and then jump in that way. So they teach the full spectrum all the way from very young, I would say probably second grade or something, like third grade. I think they have some kids that are really young, all the way to professional adults.
That's really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Good on you, DJ Babu.
Yeah.
So you guys came up? Are you guys from Bay Area or LA?
We're actually from Los Angeles, but our first records came out of ABB Records, which is from the Bay Area Hip Hop Coalition, Oakland, California. So in the beginning of our career, almost everybody thought that we were from the Bay Area because we were doing a lot of our early shows there. Our record label was in Oakland, and distribution was based out of that area.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. I was there that time. I was doing shows back then and working a lot with Hieroglyphics and some other crews. And actually, I did the Pete Rock CL Smooth main ingredient tour at the Kennel Club in '94, and Benny B was the DJ.
Nickelberry, what's up, Benny B?
Wow.
Yeah, you brought it back. You said the main ingredient tour. That was crazy. That's wow.
Yeah, not Mecca and the Soul Brothers.
No, you're talking about the EP.
That would have been the doper shit, probably.
No, come on.
No, main ingredient. No, I was.
You gotta make sure there was a Mecca and the Soul Brother. You gotta make sure there was a Mecca and the Soul. Oh, that's great awesome to hear, man.
That's amazing, man.
Are you still Bay Area based?
No, I'm actually in Ashland, Oregon, sleepy little hippie town up here. Nice. But I work a lot in the Bay still, and I still work with Hyro, and I do a lot of. I produce the International Cannabis Business Conference. Our 5th year is actually going to be in San Francisco on February 7th and 8th. Oh, and we got DJ Muggs coming up from Cypress Hill.
Yeah, the Black Goat. That's my big brother right there, man. Muggs, without Cypress Hill, without Soul Assassins, Cypress Hill, House of Pain, that whole crew, there'd be no Dilated Peoples. Actually, our first deal was with. Shout out to Everlast and Lethal. At the time, it was all Soul Assassins, and our first deal was through Lethal Dose. So we were brought in early into the Soul Assassins family, Dilated Peoples, even before it was Dilated Peoples, before Babu even joined the group. Soul Assassins was looking out for us.
I didn't even know you guys were connected with them like that. I might not have thought that, but that's interesting.
Oh yeah, no, Alchemist, who was from the Hooligans, who was B-Real's first group that he signed. That's right. Evidence's best friend. Since they were in like junior high school or something. So even before music, they were already best friends. So yeah, we were very well connected with Soul. We were basically considered ourselves like. If they're brothers, we're cousins. You know what I mean? Like we're Soul Assassins.
Well, that's good. That's good pedigree. And I toured on the Soul Assassins tour as a hemp activist in 1994. I was working with Jack Hare, and I started this political action committee called End the Hemp War '94. And I love Cypress Hill. I saw him on Saturday Night Live when Muggs got kicked off. I had this like epiphany. And I called. They were working with Normal, so I called Normal, and I was like, and I called Eric Steenstra. And Eric Steenstra got me all this dap for backstage and to be the cat that's handing out the little flyers or whatever. And so I was on. So I did like 4 or 5 tours. We did Irvine Meadows and then another place in LA. I forget, Santa Monica maybe. And then San Jose and then one other place. And it was crazy because the Hooligans it went Hooligans and then
Funk Dubious,
House of Pain, Cypress. Exactly.
Yeah, I went to the San Francisco show on that tour.
Yes.
I drove up just for that show.
That was the other show. Yeah. There was one in San Jose, and then there was one in
Oakland or something. something up in that area though.
Yeah, I forget where it was, but yeah, man, seeing Al was 16. The Hooligans. Do you remember who the other guy from the Hooligans was?
Yeah, Scott Kahn.
Scott Kahn, man.
Yeah, Scotty Kahn. He still has skills. If you go listen to Go listen to the Step Brothers album, which is Alchemist and Evidence did a side project called the Step Brothers. I believe on that album, there's actually a verse from Scott Conn. He kicks a new rhyme like for after all these years, and he's still nicer than most people today. It's crazy.
Glad I believe it. Those kids were these two little white boys, and they had so much energy on stage, and they were 16 years old touring with all these guys. And they remember how they would like. I mean, it's that kind of like classic hip hop performing thing when you have everybody crosses, and go,
baggy clothes and just crossing.
Dude, exactly. They were like crushing it, and they would get paid in cash, and then they would buy like remember P's were like 4,200 or a bro deal. And,
no doubt.
That brings a tear to my eye these days now. But
they'd be like, check this out, Alex, because I was like the hemp back beside these big dreadlocks. They were like, what do you think about this? I was like, you guys are rolling. You 16-year-old kids are. And Al was always just so hella cool, man. So I haven't seen Al in a long time, but
that's my family right there, man. I mean, when I met Evidence, he was already hanging out with those guys. They were just like a knucklehead. They were younger than me, so they were like a wild group of kids I'd never seen. It was like a TV show, like a reality show today.
Exactly.
These kids run, and that's Scott Conn is James Conn's son, so he's like the son of a Hollywood icon, legend. But at the same time, he's really in the streets getting into knucklehead stuff every night. Like, I'm like, Scott, what are you doing? Go home, bro. Like, I'm talking to these dudes, like, go home.
Exactly. They were wilding out, and they were 16 years old. You couldn't even do that shit no more. If you had like two 16-year-old kids and like, it wouldn't even go down like that.
They were like,
nobody would let it happen just for liability issues or whatever.
I remember seeing Saabs and BMWs sliding through there were shootouts between Saabs and BMWs in the Beverly Hills. It was the most ridiculous. It was ridiculous. And then at the same time, there was nothing big.
Jumped. You never knew when you were going to maybe get jumped. Or
and shout out to what's his name? I don't know what I still call him Seth, but I don't know what Shifty Shell Shock from Butterfly. What are they called?
I didn't know Shifty. You remember Snow?
Snow, yeah, of course, yeah. Oh man, it was AM DJ AM, rest in peace, was around during that time. Yeah, he was actually AM. They called him AMG the Funk, and before he was DJ AM, he was
Golden Times.
Who's Kid Kaya, Shifty Shell Shock. I'm horrible with names, man. The group Crazy Town. The group Crazy Town.
Oh yeah.
So Crazy Town, the lead guy of Crazy Town, his name was Seth. He was around at that time. Yeah. Ethan Brown, Jackson Brown's son, EK. I'm horrible with all these names, but Ethan Brown. It was just a bunch of these, like, just knucklehead kids, but they were like very talented and very cool, and they were all like my little brothers, man. Like, I was older than them, and I was Ev's big homie at the time, so it was like I would come around, and they were very respectful of me, but pretty much to everybody else, they were like,
okay,
knuckleheads, man.
No, you wanted them cats on your side, man. That was like a rough crew. It was a formative time for me, for sure. I remember at the end of each show. Remember how they would go and slam dance and
of course, yeah.
So one day I brought Jack Hare there, right? Yeah. And they were slam dancing. I was backstage, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go slam. I'm gonna go. And Snow, I'm 6'2", 210 pounds. Snow's about 5'8",
but he's a knockout artist.
210 pounds. And
Snow was a professional knockout artist, though. He was a one puncher. They called him a one puncher. Snow was like a knockout artist.
Snow knocked the hell out of me, man. I was just like, this is still good. And he put a forearm up into my throat, and I felt for like months after that.
Yeah, man. Snow was around, man. That's funny that you. Who else? Schoolboy was around. While Samoan cats were around. It was just
Capper. They had some crazy.
Oh yeah, Gator, all those guys. Yeah, who's an MMA guy. Yeah, now Gator.
That was awesome, man.
Oh man, you're bringing me back, man. You're bringing me back. Oh, that's
and
great.
Weed was ubiquitous. It's almost like weed was more ubiquitous then than it is now. I mean, it was like hella cool. You could smoke everywhere. It was weird. Nobody was tripping.
No, we were sponsored by Graphics at the time. Shout out to Graphics. There's a lot of companies. I've had some nice pieces, but there's always a standard that you set for yourself. And B-Real gave me this 1 foot like straight tube glass graphics that still has the most perfect. Like I've spent I don't know how much money around the world trying to find the perfect snap and it was still, but it was just that day, like it was just sponsorships. Everybody was around. It was there. It was anything you wanted to do was there. I mean, you know, Vegas wasn't as cool, but pretty much everything else was a lot cooler. So it was around the same.
All the class was coming in, like Snodgrass, Jerome Baker, all that.
Yep, Jerome Baker. Yeah, definitely. Oh man, crazy.
Yeah. And Be Real was cool because they were like some hood cats, but they was on some like West Coast weed conscious tip and shit. And so
absolutely.
They were educating people about what really won, and it was
Cypress Hill as a group of street cats, and I know Muggs coming from the East Coast, you know, that's big bro, right? He's like the Abbott, like if RZA's like the Abbott of Wu-Tang, like Muggs is the Abbott of Soul Assassins, you know what I mean? Like
right.
So that's everybody's big bro in the crew, but yeah, man, I mean, it was just, you know, Be Real though, beyond being a street dude, was actually at one point in his life like an active gang member. Like he was actually not just like from the neighbor, like, you know, didn't just live in the neighborhood. He was an active participant in some of the wilderness that was going on out there. So some of the wild stuff that was happening. So for him to make that turn and become like an activist and, you know, become someone that's really built a lot of bridges rather than destroying a lot of things, like that's something that doesn't really get spoken on a lot of enough. And right now, him being out with Prophets of Rage right now, like doing some very like socially charged stuff with Chuck D and the whole crew, like it's a very different Be Real than you would have known as Mr. Freeze or Louis back in the days, with something pop out from under the seat of the Cadillac. Like it's a totally different day, but he's still a real one. He still has that if you want to bring it, but he's just channeling that toward more attacking the things that he feels or defending against the things that he feels are appropriate rather than just being a.
Exactly. He was special that way. He just always had this like really cool demeanor and was mad conscious about pretty much everything. And he always brought it no matter what. He was always hella respectful to everyone. He was the guy, you know, Muggs was the crazy one, right? Like it was like Muggs was, you didn't know what was gonna happen, but Be Real was actually the chill one, you know, compared to Muggs, because Muggs was psychotic still.
Yeah, Muggs was on. Shout out to Muggs. I seen Muggs.
He was supposed to be on. I'm texting him right now, so I just said you were shouting him out.
Yeah, that's big bro right there. I remember, at that show, I remember, I don't know what happened. I won't get it. How that was a long time, so there's no statute of limitations on that. Yeah, so anyway, so I remember.
We've been talking a lot about that statute of limitations.
Yeah. I remember being at that San Francisco show on that tour that we're talking about, and everybody was outside. It was like sound check time or something like that. It was all the buses were lined up in the.
They got like the weight bench out there and shit.
Exactly, everybody, all the security, all the Samoans, all the security guys are out there. Muggs, I don't know. He got bored or something. I'm not sure what it was, but he decided. Yeah, and it was all of the Yellow Jacket security, like all the venue security was like at the door and like kind of protecting the buses. And I just remember, I don't know, Muggs was bored or something, but he just tucked his security pass in and just decided to just bum rush the Yellow Jackets just to see if, I don't know, just test them or something to see what was going to happen. He got surrounded and his security came and split it all up. And then it was just it turned into, everyone was laughing at the time, but it was just that kind of stuff. Like he's like, let me just take off my security, my all access pass and just charge security to see what happens. You know what I'm saying? Like he was that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like you know, like you big shot, you know, you used to have to actually really have to bomb rush places back in the day, but you know, like just bring some nostalgia.
Different time, man. Different time. It's good to see what he's doing now. He's had the music series and he's really like carved out a new lane. That, you know, the new Cypress album, everything that's happening. I really love. You know, I have so much respect for Muggs for.
He did that House of Pain remake that a lot of people the Jump Around remake with Everlast, Mayhem, and Damian Marley.
Yeah. Absolutely. Speaking of that, man, shout out to Everlast too, man. I don't know if you're listening, man, but hopefully you are. Yeah, strength and light to you, man. I know he had with the fires and everything. His family was dealing with that real directly with his stuff. So yeah, you know, everybody that was dealing with the fires and stuff on that side. But yeah, That's Everlast. Lethal. I've known DJ Lethal since we were in elementary school. So that's kind of how we stayed up. I remember like Everlast showing up at the house with the swap meet stitched, or the personally stitched house hat that said House of Pain, and talking about this is the new group and we're going to start this group
now.
We're gonna start this group called House of Pain, and it's me and this guy named Danny Boy. It was like this whole thing. Like I remember this whole thing happening. So it was we were there for like, wow. It's like early '90s, so early. Like, I don't want to age myself too much, but yeah, it was a long time ago.
Epic, man.
Dude, also shout out to Aaron from DNA. That's actually how I met you, Rakaa, and the whole Dilated Peoples crew. He also was deeply affected by those fires. I think his house burned right down to the ground.
Absolutely. Aaron, I've known actually at the same elementary school I went to with DJ Lethal, which was called Rosewood Elementary School. Aaron, AY, my man AY from DNA Genetics. Shout out to Don too, the whole DNA family. But Aaron went to that same elementary school. We all went to elementary school together. Aaron was like 2 years younger than us, but he was at the same school as us. And I hadn't seen Aaron since we were kids, and I went with my man Charlie Tuna from Jurassic 5 right when cards started coming to LA. He's like, I'm gonna go get my card, come with me. I was like, I'll go with you, man, but I'm not gonna put my information in a database and go get a card. I'm not gonna go do all that stuff.
Remember them way? Yeah.
And I got to the place and it seemed so easy. I was like, you know what? Never mind. I'll just go do it. I just decided to do it since I was there with him. And I just get a call like, okay, they call you to the back. It was a big room. And they're like, Rakaa Taylor, come to the front. And I walk up to the front to get my card. And all of a sudden I hear, Rakaa Taylor? Is your brother Buddy Taylor? And I look around. He's like, it's Aaron, bro, from Rosewood. It was one of those things.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So we ended up just linking at that point, and right then he was like, yo, I'm doing this thing called the hot box parties in Amsterdam.
Yeah, dude.
Out to do a hot box party, and Dilated went out and we actually performed at a hot box party. And after that hot box party, I actually worked with DNA for about, I believe it was 4 years in a row, maybe 4 or 5 years in a row after that. And I was producing their hot box parties in Amsterdam at High Times at Melkweg. So I would do the Wednesday night parties. I would bring in the staff of people, my man Demi and some other people out there in Amsterdam. I had an Amsterdam crew that I worked with, and I worked with the Melkweg staff, and I worked with High Times directly. I worked with the DNA offices out there off of St. Nicolstraat, and I put the shows together in Amsterdam. I would fly out every year, bring a group of people out there, and put on some Barrington Levy or Charlie Tuna, Dilated, Beat Junkies. We brought out.
I went to all those parties, dude. But that first one wasn't at the Melkweg.
The first one was not at the Melkweg. It was a smaller club.
Dude, that show
someplace
was amazing.
That
was an amazing show, dude. I'm telling you, that was like, and I've seen a ton of shows, but that show, I think part of it was that I was sitting on the couch behind you in evidence while you were performing on stage with Don and Aaron just puffing bowls of full melt. I was like, this is fucking amazing. And Don's just leaning over. He's like, we're so fucking getting fined tonight. They didn't want us smoking in here. And the audience just looked like it was on fire. And he's just laughing.
That was amazing. I remember his mom I remember they had a popcorn machine there, and his mom was like there popping like popcorn with like can of butter or like that inside the venue while the whole place is crazy and they're rolling up and passing. I remember from on the stage, like you said, the couches on the stage, and it was also like a different, all the clubs being in those really big places, especially with everyone being so high and everything else. It's not as easy to get that raw jump around energy that you get at a lot of rap shows. Yeah, that was one. The energy was bouncing off the walls there, which was kind of, is not often the case at like some of these parties where everyone's so high. You get everyone watches, and at the end you get the applause. Like, that was brilliant, that was beautiful. But we're used to like I guess you could say in our experiences more, I guess, the drunk crowds than the high crowds. So it's usually a lot more raw energy, people jumping around and flipping around. But that was one of those great ones where it balanced out really well, and we got some really good energy out of it. And it set in motion a lot of things for me to kind of actually work in a different side of this business. I was booking a lot of shows, but I was also booking a lot of, and ended up opening a lot of doors for me to do like a lot of related. I ended up working with Weed Maps and Restock and Marley Natural and a bunch of people on different events, just doing a lot of different parties. If there was different conventions, I was doing after parties in Vegas every November for for Weed Maps or for DNA at the was it the Hard Rock the when they were doing the hotel parties, when they would take over the big room with the private swimming pool in the hotel room thing. I think it was the MTV Road Rules Loft or something. So I ended up doing a lot of events in the space that helped me build a lot of bridges. And I still to this, I'm doing branding, marketing and stuff. I have I'm kind of under some paperwork right now. So I was hoping that I was trying to get it clear to talk about this time. I'm gonna have to come back to church, I guess, pretty soon to talk about some things I have going on, but it kind of made, I never wanted to. Dilated has been offered many times the opportunity to get on the brand partnership side of things, like just put our name and logo on something and take a slice.
Don't do it.
That it didn't really interest me because of the circle of people that I was around. I was sitting, with some solid people, and I had a better grasp of the business than the people that were simply just lending their name and likeness.
Exactly. I know a lot of artists that are trying to like try to just have someone just license their name for their brand, right?
Right.
And I tell them that's almost never gonna work, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're like Willie fucking Nelson or some shit, and you ain't got no brand. Like whether you're Master P or whoever it is, it's no brand. So what I tell these cats is make something first. Do your own thing first, and build your own business, and then you might be able to. Then you can leverage it into so much more rather than just saying, "Oh, we're just gonna make a lot." Everybody's doing that. Every star is trying to just like license their shit, and and nobody's really unless you're just like I said, like Willie Nelson or Snoop Dogg, then it's like ain't nobody really got a brand. So I tell folks, build your cannabis cachet and do your own thing, and then launch that shit off.
Absolutely.
I would say this, Rakaa. I had no idea that you were sort of producing those hotbox parties, but those hotbox parties for DNA were a huge component of the foundation of their brand taking off and blowing up, because they were the new guys in town in 2004. I think hotbox started in 05 or 06.
I think we did ours in 06 or 06. I think we did the second or third one.
Yeah, okay. Because I don't know if they did a hotbox party the first year. The year I met them was 2004. They were brand new. I remember we were at the Milk Vag. We both had booths. I was selling the bubble bags, and I looked around the corner, and here's these two fucking dudes with lab coats on. And I'm like, what's up with these guys? I kind of walk over. I'm the friendly Canadian, and I've been going to the Cup for a while at that point. I was probably almost 10 years into Cannabis Cups in Amsterdam. So I guess in a sense, I wasn't a veteran like Skunkman Sam, who's the grandfather of it or whatever, but I felt like a veteran sort of thing. So I was kind of going to welcome them. They had a bit of a different vibe. Like I got the idea these guys were going to be here a little bit more than just for one or two cups. And that was sort of the passing of the baton. I don't know if you remember this time accurately, Sam, but prior to DNA showing up, it really was Doug and Adam from THC Seeds and from Hempworks that were sort of the go-to guys from America that were kind of living in Amsterdam, that were super fun. I met Jerome Baker, Chris Harris at Hempworks back in the day. I think it was back then they had it as the CIA Cannabis in Amsterdam, or it might have even already passed and been the KGB, which was No Good Buds. But those guys were kind of like the head of the scene, and they were really like the go-to party. And that hotbox party that you guys played, like the torch was passed. Like DNA was just like, yeah, everyone's going to be coming to our parties now. Like it was quite something.
And Marcus, you're right. Aaron's house in Malibu did burn down in the fire.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
I actually talked to Aaron. He wasn't, when I spoke to him, shout out to Aaron. That's family right there. I'm so sorry to hear that. When I spoke to him last, he wasn't sure. His family was out of town. He sent his family out of town, and he was going to be heading up there when he could to go check and see.
But he also just made a stock offering he sold some of DNA to raise capital, and they raised in their first offering $35 million.
Wow.
Good for them.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? And those hotbox parties were a big part of that. Obviously, selecting good genetics and selling seeds all around the world and winning as many competitions as they did was a big part of it. But coming out of the gate right was I think was really important for DNA.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were the new guys on the block in terms of genetics for me. I mean, I remember when they started coming out, I just was like, who are these guys and what's the backstory on it? And they really earned their keep over the years.
Yeah.
They're decent guys, man. I mean, just as
Yeah.
people, they're really, they're just genuinely nice people. They're family people. They, directly with their family units, but also with their team of people. They have a good team of people around them, and they seem to care about them. And I didn't come up with DNA Genetics. I wasn't part of them becoming a company or anything else, but I do feel like, throwing those parties and helping to, I obviously I make music, but I also have a degree in advertising. So I went back to school instead of buying some of the chains and the other, some of the cars and everything. I just went back to school. I'm just one of those kind of people. And
Cool.
I ended up getting my degree in advertising. So I had to go back and understand marketing and branding and everything else and trying to apply those to the design and the branding aspect of what DNA was doing, but also to the actual experiential marketing and event production and out of non-traditional advertising and looking at it that way rather than just throwing a party. I was looking at it like out of home or non-traditional advertising, and we really put that into what we were doing with their brand. And we kept it strong. We never had any type of falling out. What ended up happening is they really refocused on the States. They ended up moving because they're from here, obviously from the States. So they ended up kind of refocusing on building up what was going on in Colorado and California and all the stuff that's happening right now. And that became their focus. Canada obviously was a big focus of theirs. And that became more of their focus in doing these things. But earlier this year, I spoke to Don and Aaron, and they were talking about trying to do trying to bring some hot box stuff back or doing some other kind of events. And a lot of other people I didn't even realize that were watching those events online or that were taking the trips out there or just hearing from other people have started to kind of reach out and ask, what's going on next year? What am I doing in April? Can I help them to do this? Or they have an event, they need an after party. And, it's an easy thing to do to just hire somebody that knows people to get artists to come down, especially when there's so much disposable income floating around or paper income, a lot of different types of ways to get happy. But to actually bring in the right people that understand what it is and not just have the same people doing the same thing over and over again and to understand how it connects with the crowd today. Like how to present that visually. There's a lot to that. And, I've taken the time to really dig in with that. And that's actually been my focus more so than making music over the past couple of years. I do have some projects coming out next year. And in 2020, there is going to be some Dilated stuff happening because that'll be the 20-year anniversary of the platform. We have an album called 2020, and that'll be the 10-year anniversary of my solo. So 2020, there'll be some things happening. But overall, the past couple of years, man, it's pretty much been production, events, branding, and marketing. And I would say a good half of that has been in this particular space. Like just working with built a lot of artists. I did artist events, art shows. Specialty, like hooking up, somebody, Weed Maps wanted a particular artist to do a particular project for them and they needed something to happen. I had to come in and broker the deal and work the whole thing out. So, that kind of stuff, which put me in a unique space to see the industry from a different perspective than someone that's been a lifelong person that's, a lifelong grower or cultivator, or someone that's, just an outside person that's trying to throw some money at it and try to jump into something to try to make their money grow. Like I've been able to work with both, and I prefer to work with the people that have the soul and have the heart and have their roots in the actual plant, actually in the process, actually in the people. But I also understand the perspective of that the industry is changing, regulations are changing. That's going to create opportunities and that's going to create problems. And you have to be able to navigate that imbalance. You keep yourself balanced as you're going to be. You can't be triggered by these other things in a way that's going to shut you down. You have to, if your goal is to survive and to float and to build, then you have to be able to stay balanced. And if you want to affect change and even get certain things back or fix things or just things, then you have to have a certain amount of power and resource and influence and understanding in order to really affect change.
Yeah, well said. Absolutely. I'll tell you, I've definitely felt that you haven't been doing much music wise because, man, I always like a good Dilated Peoples concert. So when I was walking in Toronto, like I can't even remember when it was now. I've been to so many different events, but I'm walking in Toronto. I had just seen Evidence and Atmosphere in Vancouver, and I'm in Toronto maybe a month or two later, and I see on a pole Dilated Peoples, and I'm like, no. So I text Evidence. I'm like, are you in Toronto? Because it was to that day.
Yeah.
It was like the day that I was there. I'm like, are you in Toronto? He's like, yeah, dude, we got called in for this show. I'm like, well, holy shit, dude! Like, put me on the fucking list. I'm coming.
Yeah, it was really last minute. It was maybe, I don't know if we had like a week or 2 weeks at the most. It wasn't anything that we promoted. It wasn't anything we knew about. We just got a last minute call. Like, can you guys fly out to Toronto? Here's the situation. The business was right, and we hadn't done anything together. We hadn't, just to do a random show doesn't excite us right now. Like if it's not a campaign surrounding it or a special event. So this was a special event. It was going to be, I believe, free for the people at the, for the city. So yeah, we were like, let's do it. We love Toronto anyway. Like it's one of our favorite cities. I mean, we grew up performing at the Opera House and around the corner from the Real Jerk. So we would go do the show and go to the Real Jerk twice a day and eat. It was just, we love Toronto. So to go out there and be able to rock a show like that and have it be one of the rare Dilated group performances that we're doing and have the business be right and have it just be it was just a great time, man. So I'm glad you got a chance to come down.
Yeah, absolutely. It was actually my friend who was working with that brand, I believe, Kip, the red-haired cat. That was a big part of getting you guys there.
Well, shout out to Kip, man. We had a great time. Call us back next year. We love it. We'd love to come back.
Yeah, dude. He's a huge hip hop fan. He has been since I've known him. Nice.
That's beautiful, man. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I texted Aaron. I was like, Rakaa's shouting you out on Hash Church. He's like, cool. Say hi.
Yeah, man. That's a good dude right there, man. His whole family. I mean, like Don and the family. We did a lot of crazy stuff together. There were a lot of late nights. We had a lot of fun too. There was those hash, legends of hash dinners and all those things that I'm not a legend of hash by any stretch of the imagination, but some kind of way they always had a seat for me. The food was good, and it's just a great time. The community. I think it's some part of me is a little bit sad because there are a lot of people that are really good-hearted people, really people with a lot of strong integrity, and that put a lot of their blood, sweat, and tears into this, and they didn't necessarily, either they weren't able to or they didn't make certain adjustments to allow them to really thrive. But at the same time, there's still a part of me that's really excited about the majority. For the most part, I'm really excited about the opportunities in the future, the potential for the future, and what this community can be. And the community is entrenched in a lot of different places that are able to come to light now because attitudes are changing, laws are changing, and there are always the frontliners. I hate to see the frontliners not get their respect as the people that laid it on the line for everybody else. So whatever we could do to support the frontliners while at the same time pushing for continued growth. I mean, that balance is always the
right. 100%. I was thinking that earlier when Mojo was talking about his product, the CBD product, and then Sam was mentioning, like, I don't care if every judge and policeman, and I was like, you know what, I see both sides, but I really love the idea of some of these reggae artists that have been singing about this for like 40, 50 years, getting their heads cracked open with batons, tossed in jail, treated like the lowest dregs of society, singing about the medicinal aspects of cannabis for like decades. It's like, they should probably just be like, they should all have companies and products that
it's interesting, because I think it's and those, that's absolutely true. But the other side, the other group of people are the people that are non-artists, because the reggae artists, at least they usually have like a fan base. They have like moral support. They have people in the streets that are keeping their name out there and buying their records and free so-and-so and wearing the t-shirts. But totally. On top of those people, to me, it's the people that were just doing it right. The people that legitimately cared about people's health that are in jail, that maybe they're not even in jail right now, but they had to spend their entire life savings or lose everything to fight to stay out of jail. Or they, are they going to get there? Are there, some kind of way they're going to get the benefit, or, is there a fund set up for these people that we can measure that say, what, you lost it all. Some of the stuff that we're pointing to as things that we're able to get this business moving to this level, or because you sacrificed, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 5 years ago, because you went to jail, or because, you had your head beat in, or because you had your whole bank account depleted by the government, everything taken from you, they didn't give anything back, and what can we do for these people too? I'd love to see these reggae artists get out and go platinum, but I'd love to see the people that go diamond and get everything they deserve for giving us the theme songs and giving us the inspirational music to push on. But I would really love to see these frontliners, man, these soldiers that put themselves on the front line, that grew when they said it was illegal, before the county, before the state, when the whole world was treating them as ridiculously as the feds treat everybody. I would love to see them get some kind of, benefit from this directly as well. Some of them may even be excluded from being involved in this business because of what they did in the past, and then it's really a unfair situation for certain people. And I turn on the TV and I see, Marlboro just invested $1 billion into this. While meanwhile, this person who fought everything, it lost everything. While, and these other people who would have gladly supported whatever side was happening, now they have $1 billion investments. Like some of that money needs to go, I don't know, kind of get earmarked or taking care of some of these things some of these problems they created.
I mean, they did it in Jamaica, in the sense that, like as regulations were coming into place for Jamaica, as they were going to allow business and government, and the whole of Jamaica was like, man, the blood clot's it's gonna be so corrupt, it's just gonna be such a mess. But the one thing I thought they really did right was they were like, okay, the Rastas, you guys can just have this. You can have, you can sell it amongst yourselves, trade it amongst yourselves, grow it, have it, set up booths to sell it at concert events and Rastafarian events. And I thought that was pretty cool, in the sense that they were just like, okay, listen, we got to grandfather these motherfuckers in. They are going to start singing songs on the radio about us if we don't.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely true. I think it's great to hear that they are, decriminalizing or allowing them to do, what they need to do and what they'd like to, especially when you're dealing with Rastas. It's much more than just getting high for the sake of getting high. It's a much deeper situation than that. So, but there are a lot of Rastas that are dead right now. There are a lot of Rastas in that same community that are in prison right now. Like, are they vacating sentences? Are they returning property? Are they supporting the community that maybe has been taken down by some of the policies that are now beneficial to the government because they're being taxed? Like, that's the kind of stuff that I'd like to see get. You can't go back and you can't go back and undo anything that's been done, but you can definitely do things to balance it or to address it and to try to make it a situation to try to even out the effect, I guess, on some level.
It is the norm in every other business. The visionaries seldom end up with much. It's usually the bankers and the lawyers.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
That's reality.
True. Yeah, no, but it doesn't make it fair. It makes it absolutely reality. It makes it absolutely how things go. But
I didn't know reality had to be fair.
Look, I'd like to make it a little bit fair.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
I'd concur on that.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't have to be fair, but I'd like it to be fair. I'd like it to be fair when the opportunity and the resources are there to address it. If the opportunities and resources aren't there to address it, then that's one thing. But if you're taxing people, if the taxes are coming in at the level they're coming in and everything is coming in the way that it is, and there are actually people still in prison from this, because here's the other thing. The people that are in prison for this are actually making the state or the feds money because they're charging for those bodies to still be in prison. So they have people in prison for something that's legal now, and they're still making money off those people being in prison.
Yeah, and the wages as well. That's the real money. That's where Ice-T
Slave
writes
wages.
about it.
Yeah,
And all the money is ending up in the hands of the lawyers and the.
Well, you know what?
No, you're absolutely right. As it strangely almost always does.
I think a part of the problem too is that with the way it's being legalized, or however you want to call it, there's no sort of admitting like, okay, listen, we lied. We were not telling the truth, and we lied about all this, and THC is actually harmless, and you don't need to protect the children. But they didn't do that. They came out still kind of not admitting they lied, still saying you need to protect the children, still sort of like kind of creating this sort of narrow version of what they want it to be.
California and other states have made small steps in the right direction, where they're eliminating any criminal records for nonviolent cannabis crimes.
That's true.
That's a small step in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the kind of stuff I'm like. As that happens more, then this feels a little bit better to me. Like overall, like, and it doesn't have to feel any particular way to me. I mean, it's business, it's commerce at this point. It's regulated, taxed. It is what it is. But if we're talking, if the conversation ever drifts over to hearts and minds, it seems like the right thing to do is to go back and say, look, if we've decided that this is no longer illegal, and the reason we've decided that it's no longer illegal is because we've done our research, and what we said the problems were with it, we've decided are no longer the problems with it, then the people in general that are dealing with this should have the ability to have that situation corrected. And the fact that it is happening slowly in certain parts of California and hopefully across California, and it will continue to happen, that's a good thing. Hopefully that becomes the norm wherever it's legalized. Like anybody that's dealing with it, that's had to deal with it, hopefully, I mean, it doesn't, hopefully the feds just get out there, get their head out their ass and just let it be what it is. But I mean, that a lot of money will get lost that way.
I read the news today that the United Nations, who was thinking about rescheduling cannabis, they put off the decision.
Ah, wow.
Of course they did. I thought you were singing a Beatles song there, Sam. I read the news today.
Oh boy.
About a lucky man.
I heard about South Korea.
For medical, yes.
For medical,
yeah.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, people don't know this also about me, is that my mom is actually, I'm part Korean. My mom is from Korea. So like when I go, I have friends out there, a lot of the musicians, a lot of the bigger artists out there are friends of mine, and they had like draconian laws out there. They had laws out there like, hey, that guy smoked. Huh? Like you could tell the police that somebody down the street smoked. The police will then go test their hair, go do whatever they have to do, and they could say, yeah, I smoked, but it was in Amsterdam. I wasn't even in the. They're like, it doesn't matter. You're still a citizen of this country, and so as a result, you might go to jail for 4 years for smoking a joint in Amsterdam.
Singapore is the same way.
Singapore, yeah. A lot of the Asian countries are based in that.
Dubai.
Yeah, I heard. At least they didn't have the death sign. I think it was Singapore, wherever. I'm not sure where I saw, but it's like they have the punishable by death, like in full view.
Singapore, for sure.
Yeah,
Bali as well.
Malaysia.
They're pretty harsh.
What you're saying is true. Recreational, you're up shit creek. Medical is now becoming legalized.
Right.
But
exactly.
in North Korea, marijuana was not illegal.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's been legal the whole time. It's like, it's crazy. It's so crazy.
Well, I think some of the biggest news that's come out recently in terms of like global change is actually Luxembourg, which is a small, relatively
it's a neighborhood
country.
I mean,
they're going to legalize, and this is a huge deal when it comes to the UN treaty. When it comes to
they claim they're going to tax and regulate and sell. That has not been done by a Western federal.
No, it's so huge for Europe because
Uruguay, and in Canada, but nowhere in Europe.
I know, and it's so big because Luxembourg, though they're small, they're basically a de facto government for the EU. They're directly connected.
They're right in the middle of everything. You got to cross. And
the European government is held it's in Brussels, it's in Luxembourg, and it's in Strasbourg. So those are the 3 points for where the European.
It's also where a hell of a lot of people have their money stashed.
Exactly,
Luxembourg.
and also one little interesting caveat is they've been
parked, not stashed, parked.
One interesting caveat to the Luxembourg thing is that they've been, when it comes to public corporations in Germany, they're not being allowed to go on the DAX, the stock market, and that's all controlled out of Luxembourg. And so when Luxembourg legalizes, there's all these, though it's just a small country, there's all these major ramifications throughout Europe that'll have, as well as the world, because they're so connected into the EU, and that gives hegemony for the UN. That's a lot of hegemony for the UN to then kind of have a pass to act. Because when you go to Europe and you talk about like when Canada legalized, Canada's putting all its weed into Germany right now. But when Canada legalized, now it was not under medical auspices anymore. It was recreational. And there was this big thing in Germany where they're going to be able to still import herb because of the UN treaty. Now, you never hear Yankees talk about the UN treaties because we run that shit anyway, and it doesn't matter. We do whatever we fucking want. But in Europe, they actually like, that shit matters. Like the Geneva Convention fucking matters, right? And so it's in their discourse, in their political discourse, how they determine how things are.
Recreational cannot be done in any sort of compliance with the United Nations.
Right, and so what's happening is there's examples now where they're not in compliant, and so it's chiseling away, it's breaking at it. And I think, if my personal opinion is, if Luxembourg legalizes, then I really think that is the beginning of the end, and I think we're going to see Switzerland legalize very soon thereafter.
I remember when Switzerland, I was there when they were doing their marches in Switzerland decriminalized. I remember there was a big deal when they decriminalized. But I remember also about Switzerland way back in the days, the potpourri. Like you couldn't buy your, remember the potpourri?
The
Straight up.
That's old school. That's how you know.
It was basically de facto legal in Switzerland. You could smoke on the trains. There was these double-decker trains in German-speaking Switzerland. There was a particular one from Zurich to Lucerne. It took about an hour to get to. And there was double-decker trains. And on the top was where was the smoking section, right? But there was also this little couch and little table shit, right? It was hella dope. And you would go up there, and this is like 1998, right? 1999. You go up there, and cats were smoking all over the train. I've literally been on the train, had my beer, had me little spliff, and given my ticket to the conductor on Switzerland, and looking out at the Alps, and I was like, man, this is some utopian shit. I'll never have this. You know, this is the most amazing feel of freedom I've ever had. And then it regressed in Switzerland, right? Yeah. And now they're going to then 20 years later, then it's gonna all come back, and it's happening under CBD auspices right now. Right. But then the CBD shit smells and tastes just like that. So what the cops don't even know what weed, who's smoking what, you know? Right,
exactly. No, you're absolutely right. It's seeing what's going on over there is really interesting. I was on the other side of it. I was also there when at the cup in Amsterdam. I think it might have been the first cup, maybe the only cup that's ever been raided, like where they actually came in and like
remember really, that.
And they came in and they were arresting people. It was a really ridiculous situation. Like, and I don't know what it is. I think it's something where like there's the community decides, hey, we're cool, we're good with this. And then somebody else, a conservative voice comes in, decides to come in and regulate it. Then there has to be the counter regulations to try to figure out exactly what can be legal. And I don't really know. But
well, that's a good example. I think that's a good analogy, or a good example of what's happening in Switzerland, right? Or over the last what has happened in the last 20 years.
Where was the cup that you were talking about that got? I was at
PAX Party House got raided. Remember?
2010 got raided too.
Never got raided.
Yeah, I don't remember PAX getting raided. I remember
2000.
Oh, maybe they switched. They stopped doing it at the PAX and then did it at some other place.
Well, it was the year I'm thinking was in Eindhoven, and
it was about an hour. It was right outside of the city, and
so it wasn't in Amsterdam. It was the mayor of Eindhoven.
Exactly. A different mayor, a different dimension.
Yes. Yeah. So guess who? Guess who got searched first at that event? They came right to my fucking booth, right to my booth. It wasn't even the closest one to the door. It was the furthest one from the door. And then next year they raided it again, and I'm sitting there with Doug from Hempworks, and I'm like, what do you think the chances are that they're gonna come and search us first? And he's like, I think it's pretty high. But I feel okay about it because I don't have anything. And then I'm like picturing in my mind, he's saying to me, I don't have anything. And this is what I'm picturing in my mind. One of his friends from Colorado, this kind of long, scraggly haired guy, ate acid that day. And he had like a 5-gallon bucket. You know those like jars that close and you can't open them? It's like a vacuum unless you push the little button. He had a huge 5-gallon one full of herb. And I saw him like losing it on acid. His whole face was just contorting. And I watched him take that thing and hide it behind Doug's booth. Literally an hour before we were getting searched. So he's there he's like, yeah, I think they're going to come search us. But you know what?
I remember that most people either hid it in the trash or
Yeah.
underneath the trash container.
Yeah, but we were booths.
And the cops didn't find any of it.
It's true. We were in booths, so it was different for us. Mila got arrested that year, but Doug was
I remember that.
I told Doug, I was like, listen, I got some bad news for you. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, listen, you know your buddy there that was eating the acid and was all tweaking out? Like he stashed his weed behind your booth, and Doug just like goes white. He's like, fuck. He's sitting there like, he's like, dude, you don't understand. This is gonna be like a 4-year thing. Like
it's like a barrel. It's not even like a bag, it's like a barrel behind.
It's a barrel. And the best part was, this was the best part. The big Dutch cop, fucking guy's like 6'4", he's got it. Yeah. And he's standing in front of me and Doug because we shared a booth every year at the Cup. And he's fucking big, dude. He's pulling the top of this thing. And he's almost getting it off. And then it's going shoo, and closing again. Oh, dude. And he tried. I swear to God, he was doing it for about 5 minutes. And then Doug looks at me and he's like, I'm not fucking telling him how to open it. Oh, fuck, was I laughing my head off?
Hey, Bubble, I gotta go. It's been such a wonderful time with all you guys.
Yeah, dude, you know what? I think I only had booked till about 11:30, but it has been great talking to everyone. It was nice conversations, Alex. Thanks for bringing in Mojo and Rakaa. Thanks for coming out and telling some amazing stories. And
man, just thanks for inviting me, man.
Being the solid, humble dude that you are, we will for sure have you guys both back on church.
Bubble, can I do a shameless shout out and just say when my next events are?
Of course, dude.
Okay, we got the International Cannabis Business Conference coming up in San Francisco, February 7th and 8th. We are in association with Spanibus doing the B2B.
That's going to be wicked.
In Spain, yep, that'll be March 14th. Then our big one in Berlin, March 31st to April 2nd. And then we just teamed up with Canatrade in Switzerland to do their B2B, and that'll be March 16th. And then, of course, we got Van Groovy in September 15th and 16th.
March 16th?
I'm sorry, May 6th. May 16th.
Okay.
Not bad. Yeah, that'd be a tight schedule. It's already tight enough. I'm already fucking out of my mind. But May 16th in Zurich.
Well, dude, you I should link you up with Rakaa because you guys seem to have a lot of common friends. Maybe Dilated Peoples will be playing the ICBC.
I'm down. We've had Dell all the time, Muggs. We've had Morgan Heritage. So Dilated Peoples, it'd be a real honor. That'd be great. Let's talk. Let's chop it up. I'll definitely get your information. Mark, I'll send you my information as well, and let's all stay in touch, man. Like there's definitely some good things that are happening, and yeah, it's good to know good people. Indeed. That sounds dope, bro. Absolutely. Thanks, Collin, for coming out, dude. We will talk to you again soon, dude. It was great to hear your conversations with Sam and Dr. Mark. Thanks, Dr. Mark, for coming out. And thank you, Skunkman Sam, as always, for sharing your wisdom with us. Fucking great episode, guys. It was real fun. It was really nice. I appreciate it. And of course, thank you to the hundreds of people watching right now. I think we had 600 or 700 watching at once. We're down to about 500 now. But I'm sure many thousands will watch the episode and enjoy it as well. So shout out to everyone that spent their Sunday morning with on Hip Hop Church. Yep. Shout out to everybody. Peace to my man Smash Dub. Peace to my man everybody up in Humboldt as well, man. And yeah, man, beautiful. Shout out to Luxembourg for pushing this forward. It's not a big place, man, but it has a big heart, and it's obviously very important. I've driven through there many times, and I'm looking forward to stopping next time and rocking with y'all. So shout out to Luxembourg. Same. Thanks, Bubble. Peace out. Peace.